Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of Missed Mando, a disc golf podcast covering the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu-Harris. Galen, how are you doing, my friend, and what have you been up to since our last episode?
I'm good, man. It's been a lively couple of weeks. We've had 2 tournaments, which I'm sure for you is nothing crazy, but I don't always go tournaments on back-to-back weekends, so I'm feeling good about it. Last weekend, as we were recording this, was Sandy Hollow. Loved that course. Chris Thompson put on a fantastic show. Didn't play as well as I could have. The first round was particularly terrible, but bounced back with a round that was, a good 20 points above my rating for round 2, and had a fantastic time. I mean, saw just about everybody that I like. I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration. There's a lot of people I like in the disc golf community, but I saw a lot of friends, and I love tournaments like that aren't just like a niche thing in some corner of the province. Those ones are fun too for different reasons, but I love tournaments where you just get to see, it feels like everyone, and that feels like what Sandy Hollow was to me. So love seeing some familiar faces. The course was awesome. My play was okay. I had fun. And then as we're recording this, really fresh off of the Wild Country Challenge, 3 rounds, about 22,500 feet of disc golf inside of 28 hours, which for folks like me is a lot. Out in beautiful Fenelon Falls, Ontario. Sean and I were in campgrounds that were across the roadway from each other near the course, and I'll pretend like it wasn't intentional. Oh, it was crazy that we didn't see each other very much, Sean. We weren't avoiding each other at all. No way. I was camping with my buddy Tobin, James Atkinson, so familiar faces to people that play lots of local tournaments. Thought I played pretty well. The first round was pretty good. The second round was north of 900, which for me is sort of a marker that I played decently well relative to my expectations. But the last 2 holes of the second round, I was starting to feel some soreness in my arm when I was taking my drives. And if I'm being honest, I should have just listened to it. And I said I was going to start round 3 and see how it went. And I'm not sure at this point if it's hurting or hurt, but played that third round through some pain, and then because I'm an idiot, I played 2 rounds the next day too, same thing, and so my body was not ready. My mind was, and I really enjoyed the couple of tournaments that we played, and I got to shout out Andrea for putting on just a really, really great weekend. I mean, everything I look for in a tournament, a great players pack, a really fantastic course, friendly people, good social opportunities, to hang out with the people that are on the course, not just go there and play and then go back to your Airbnb. It was great, man. And I feel like I've seen in the last 2 weekends combined a lot of the people that I love in disc golf. So I'm riding high. I'm doing really good. And I've been trying to talk as long as possible to take up as much of Sean's airtime as possible. But I guess at some point we got to throw to him. So Sean, how about you, man? What have you been up to? Was Wild Country everything that you'd hoped? Because I had a wicked time.
Played disc golf, did bad. Over to you, Robbie. How did you do? Yeah, let's move on as quickly as we can from Shawnee G, and I'm gonna keep it quick too because we'll talk a little bit in some of our tournament breakdowns that we've got coming up. 2 of the tournaments that I got to play in over the last 2 weekends, I was also at Sandy Hollow. Got to see Galen before my first round teed off, which might not have been the great thing because I started off that round pretty rough. So maybe that's not what I needed before the tournament started.
And that was intentional. It's still you caddying for Austin Hill and not for me. I'm like, how can I tear this man down?
He's gonna hold Dreammaker over my head for the rest of my life. But it was a great couple tournaments, good couple weekends playing disc golf, and it's been also busy for myself doing this top disc golf courses in Ontario vote, which has been incredibly fun to do. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it on Disc Golf Ontario. For those that haven't, I've been running a course vote to figure out the top 10 courses in Ontario. We got 415 total responses, and so far on Disc Golf Ontario, at the time of recording, we've announced the 11 to 25 placings, as well as the top, as the number 10 course. And when this episode comes out on Thursday, the number 9 and number 8 courses will have also been announced on Disc Golf Ontario. So you can check those out there. We've got more coming, and then a special episode coming up to talk about the number 1 course, which we won't spoil quite yet. You gotta wait for that one. But it's been a lot of fun, getting all these votes, seeing how like excited some people are to like see the results from it and take part in it. It's been more than I could have thought when I first put it together, and it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. It took me a hell of a long time to input nearly 100 unique courses one by one into this form. That was the worst part about the whole process, for sure. But seeing all the data come in, I'm able to break it down too. And one of the only other questions I asked was how long people have been playing for, so I can break down the stats to see, if you've been playing for 10 plus years, what courses do they like the most and stuff like that. A lot of cool stuff, and just inspires me to now I'm going to do it every year. This is going to be a yearly tradition. We'll see how big we can get it. It'll be the Missed Mando course vote every single year. Hopefully do some cool interviews around that, get some cool people on the podcast, and be able to hopefully add in some more questions to be able to break down the data even more in future years. Already had a bunch of comments from people with suggestions for stuff like that, which I welcome and appreciate. So anybody that has any more suggestions, reach out to me, and I always welcome them. But that is pretty much all I have been up to as of late. It has been busy, but it has been fun. But let's throw it over to you, Shawnee G, to talk about some Ontario news and some upcoming registrations.
I don't know if we're getting tournament fatigue this late in the season, or if it's because of back to school frenzy, or just that there's just a huge volume of tournaments in sort of September, October. But there are some amazing events coming up that somehow still have space. And I think if they were earlier on in the season, they would have sold out instantly, like we so often see. So if you are listening to this on September 5th or 6th, you still have time to register for the Peace Bridge tournament up at Highlands Nordic this weekend. I don't know how there's still spaces available. This is an amazing event. You do not want to miss it. I've signed up for 2 different divisions just so I can play both days because I love this event so much. Patrick puts on a fantastic tournament, and it's great. I love that there's an optional players pack to keep the cost low and to reduce waste and stuff. It's great. Love it. Love what they're doing, and this is going to be a good one. If you're not going all the way up there and you want to do an event, there's also still spots available for the end of summer farm frenzy at Winter Farms down in Brantford. Another great course. Is going to be another great event. A couple weeks from now, the Chain Link Conservation Series comes to the expanded course at Kelso Conservation Area in Milton. That's September 21st, 22nd. Still lots of space available there. Come be among the first to try the new 9-hole addition to the course. I know Galen is very involved in running the league there, and he can say how great this additional 9 is and vouch for it. It's going to be a great event. Jeff and Kara put on a fantastic tournament, and you definitely don't want to miss that event. Galen, what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be the greatest. I unfortunately will not be able to be there in person. I was really, really hoping to, but I had a pre-existing commitment that's going to take me out of availability that weekend. But I get the privilege of running a league there every weekend. The event is at Kelso Conservation Area, which is a conservation area managed by Conservation Halton, the biggest Conservation Authority in the province of Ontario. And it just feels to me, having a course there, like coming home. I have been hiking, picnicking, enjoying Conservation Halton properties since I was literally too young to walk. My dad was taking me there when I was like 1 or 2 years old. And the fact that I got a passion for disc golf a few years ago, and now we have a course at one of these places that I know so intimately well, feels so special to me. I'm so privileged to be able to run the league at Kelso. And we had, and we're going to get to another event coming up at Kelso soon, but we had an event run by Andy at Queer Disc Golf last year to sort of kick off the opening of the course at Kelso. That was just spectacular. And so not only does Conservation Halton and do Kelso play host to some, to a fantastic course, but to some great events too. So I'm very sad I'm going to miss out the days of, but I am acting as volunteer coordinator in the lead up to it. So anything that I can do for anybody that looks to join or to hang out and help out day of, just let me know. I'm happy to do what I can to facilitate. And I think it's going to be an incredible event. The course, the event, Jeff and Kara, like we were saying, put on a great show. So I'll cap it there. That was enough talking for me for now, but the event's going to be fantastic. And if you have interest in playing or volunteering, register or give me a shout out or not give me a shout out, just give me a shout, I'll admit the out, and we'll get you set up. Back to you, Shawnee.
Another tournament just dropped. If you happen to be up in the Sault Ste. Marie area on October 5th, there is the Mountain View Color Tourney. I haven't played up in that region, unfortunately, yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about the tournaments that they have. And there's another one there if you find yourself up there among the leaf peepers, chasing the colors. Next, we have what I think will be a super fun event. Ontario Junior, Brooklyn Okrafka, and Colleen McInnes, friend of the show, they're putting on a Halloween fundraiser tournament. And this is to help raise funds to support Brooklyn's 2025 season and Colleen's Team Canada trip to the World Flying Disc Federation's World Team Disc Golf Championships down in Australia. When we had her on a few episodes ago, she told us all about that trip. It sounds amazing, and this is a great way to help support both of their efforts this year and next year. The event is taking place down at Mohawk in Brantford on October 27th. Costumes are encouraged. And registration, it's only $30 for the one round event, and it's going to be a blast. We've already signed up for it, my wife and I, and I hope you do too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love the events that are coming up around Halloween, especially the tournament of the season, Jangalaqua, at White Spruce, which hasn't been officially announced yet, but when it is, you will hear about it here, and you definitely got to go to it. And then the last one that we're going to highlight is one that Galen alluded to, is the Chains for Change Kelso, the year that was queer. It's a year-end fundraiser put on by Queer Disc Golf. Another amazing event. They had an event last year at Kelso, and they're bringing it back. And expanding it through the full course. It's going to be a doubles tournament. And by the time this episode drops, registration will be live, and you should definitely check that out. Registration is limited to, I think, 38 players or 72 players, something like that. I forget. That's taking place on November 2nd. Galen, you wanted me to come back to you for this one too.
For sure. Yeah. Another one that I wanted to give a shout out to. First, quickly, maybe the Halloween events. I'll have to dress up as a good disc golfer. We'll see. See if that actually bears itself out. But once we get past Halloween, we're over to Chains for Change at Kelso. I am very excited. Andy and I Andy from Queer Disc Golf and I have been messaging back and forth about this for weeks. and I'm very excited. It's going to be a relatively low cost to enter tournament. I believe the number that we arrived on was about $40 to enter per player. So it is 72 players total, 36 teams that we have space for. And there'll be divisions depending on how you feel. We toyed with doing like a sanctioned thing or keeping it casual, and just felt, you know what, at the end of a long season of disc golf, I think people are going to be more interested in at least people that in the circles that we run with, and just, you know, seeing their friends, having one more event before, you know, we flip over to winter. And taking that aspect of worrying about a rating and a course you haven't played might sort of lead to a more relaxed atmosphere that is more conducive to the sort of things that we love about disc golf. So that was what we settled on. I will say that you'll get some great perks even at a low entry fee. I'll just tease that now. I think we're gonna have Andy on ideally in a future episode to talk about the event, just for a couple of quick minutes. But I won't spoil anything too much right now. I'll just say again how much I love the course, and last year the queer disc golf event that I was not involved in was one of my favorite events that I played all calendar year. And now I feel very, again, grateful just to be involved in like the planning process with Andy, and we'll see what role comes down with the running things. But I know that I'm going to be able to play, so I'm happy about that. I'm going to be playing in the intermediate division, certainly not in the pro division, and certainly not in the AM division. That feels like the right place for me. And last year we had a great event, and we all went back to Third Moon, a great microbrewery in Milton, for a pint and some prizes. So I don't know if that's fully been ironed out just yet, but I'm hoping we're going to get to do that again this year. So back to you, Shawnee G, but very excited for the conservation series that Jeff and Kara are putting on, and equally excited for the Chains for Change. And I love the name of the year that was queer, with Queer Disc Golf on November 2nd at Kelso.
There are still so many great events going on this fall in Ontario, so be sure to check them out on Disc Golf Scene and sign up for them. We only just scratched the surface. There's ones that haven't even been basically announced yet. There's events that aren't live for registration. Sign up for them all and get out there and play some more events. And speaking of more events, I'm going to throw it over to Robbie to talk about some Ontario tournament recaps. Robbie, over to you.
Yes, sir. Let's get into some tournaments that have already happened, and we've got a couple of amateur-only events to recap on this episode, starting with the always amazing Sandy Hollow Open in Barrie, Ontario. I didn't even slip up on saying that. I don't know why I repeated myself. That was kind of weird. But anyways, this was the next stop on the OCC Provincial Qualifying Tour, with 196 players in 15 different divisions battling it out for their spot to be at Provincials in October. In FA1, it was Rachel Raposo who held a one-stroke lead after round one, with Alyssa Saunders one stroke back and twin sister Kimberly 2 strokes back. But in round two, Alyssa would shoot the hot round by 3 strokes over the next best in the field, and was able to pull off the comeback win for a 2-stroke victory, the third in her career and her first victory in FA1. In MA1, there was a 3-way tie for first after the first round between Spencer Young, Graham Drummond, and Trent Dunford, all shooting -7, 3 strokes ahead of Jeremy Brister, who rounded out the round 2 lead card. But in round 2, things started to heat up from the chase card, especially with some random guy named Robbie Holden, who started the round 5 strokes back of the lead, but had a scorching hot -8 through the first 12 holes, including a bogey, 9 birdies in the first 12 of the 20-hole course, and had a race to that 5-shot deficit to be tied for the lead with Trent with 8 holes to go. But things went absolutely ice cold for him in the final 8 holes, finishing the round with 6 straight pars and then 2 unfortunate bogeys on the final 2 holes. Meanwhile, Trent was able to shoot 1 under in those final 8 holes to take down the win, and Graham ended up finishing 2 shots back in second place, with Robbie and Eric Terminesi finishing tied for third. Now, I had a little bit of fun talking about myself in the third person there, but it was quite an event. Congrats to Trent for the win in MA1. And I won't take very long on this, but I had one of the absolutely weirdest tournament plays that I've ever had. And that's coming from a guy that had a 4-round tournament with rounds rated in the 700s, 800s, 900s, and 1000s in one single event. So for me to have something weird takes a little bit of weird. But on the first day, in the first 12 holes of the course, I had shot +4. And then in the final 8 holes, went 6 under to really recover my round. And then in round 2, on those same 12 holes that I struggled with in round 1, I went 8 under, which included a bogey. So from +4 to 8 under in the same exact stretch of holes. And then the final 8 holes that I did well with on the first day, I went +2 in the final day. So I don't know what is with me not being able to play the both halves of Sandy Hall, not quite exactly half, but the wooded section compared to the open section. I don't know why I can't play both of those well on the same day. I can clearly play both of them well because I did them separately in different days. But it was a weird one. And maybe one of the most heartbreaking finishes that I've had in a tournament, because I went in, for those familiar with Sandy Hollow, the tournament actually starts on hole 10. You play 10 through 20, and then you play 1 through 9. So the second last hole that you get to play is the island hole up to the basket on the mound. And I had a chance to birdie that hole and tie for the lead, which going into the final hole is a very tough one to birdie. So I figured I could have just parred that and gone to a playoff. 20-foot putt for birdie, made the island and rang it little high off the band, down onto the slope, and rolled right into OB. Now, luckily, I did hit the further putt from edge of OB. Instead of a 20-foot putt, it was 25, maybe 27, something like that. Hit that putt. But at that point, then that I knew I had to do something crazy on the final hole, ran a putt that I never really should have, and ended up taking a bogey to lose by 3. So bit of a heartbreaking finish and a weird bit of tournament play for me. But yeah, once again, congrats to Trent. And shout out to Graham, who I played with in round 1 and was absolutely electric to start the round. I think he had to be kind of cooled off at the back half of the first round, but in the start of the first round, I think had tied the lead with people who had finished their round with like 10 holes left to play, or something like that. Maybe not that crazy, maybe with like 8 holes left to play, but it was wild. And shout out to him for that great performance as well. But let's go over to you, Shawnee G. Let's go to you first, and some of your thoughts or shout outs you want to give from the Sandy Hall.
Want to give a shout out to a few people who got aces at the Sandy Hollow Open, including an amazing thing that happened on hole 14, 170-foot hole. James Atkinson, bam, drains the ace. Everybody celebrate. Yay, awesome. Who steps up to the tee right after him? Luke Archbell. And bam, throws an ace as well. Back-to-back aces on the same hole. Absolutely wild. It just incredible. I can't remember the last time that I've ever seen or heard of that happening. So cool. And then over in FA3, Laura Hendricks drains the ace over on hole 19. Absolutely awesome to see there. One more, couple shout outs here. Always got a shout out. The pride of White Spruce, Jane Anderson Renton, who took down FA60 for yet another win, taking it by only 20 strokes this time. So it wasn't a complete blowout by Jane Renton standards. And then also love to see that there were some very, very competitive divisions. MA2 was very competitive. There were some others that were just one stroke off. I think Galen's going to chat about a couple of these, so we're going to throw it over to him. Galen.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out the only important person who finished tied third in MA1, Eric Terminisi. Not necessarily a friend of the pod explicitly, but friend to me from Bronte Creek. Love to see it. Love to see Alyssa taking down the FA1 division. Shout out as well, echo Sean's comments to Jane Anderson-Retton. We're taking down FA60 by a casual 20-some-odd strokes. James Atkinson, a great friend of mine, happy to be a groomsman in groomsman in his wedding, coming up. Second place at MA2. Travis Fisher Quinn for his T2nd MA3. Victoria Fenninger for first FA3. Nico Forbes for first, and little Ricky Diaziana for second in MJ18. I feel like I want to continue this trend that I tried to sort of kick off last pod of shouting out people that weren't just first, but were on the podium or in that top 5, and a lot of my friends were there, so really happy to see it. Showed it back over to you, Robbie, for the Paris Memorial, I think.
Yes, sir. We can move on. Well, actually, before I do that, we've all given her a shout out now, so I might as well jump on. Shout out to Jane, who I believe now is like 18-0 on the season. She hasn't lost a singles tournament. I believe she finished second at a doubles event once this year, but in singles events, she is, I believe it's like 16, 17, or 18-0, something like that, across multiple divisions too, from winning worlds in FA 65 to winning tournaments in FA 40. She is all over the place with divisions and can't be stopped. So huge shout out to Jane. And yes, we can move on to our next tournament, the Paris Memorial, held at the awesome course at Green Lane Sports Complex in Paris, Ontario. This event featured a full field of 80 for the shotgun start event, including a 4-person MPO division that saw Trent Michaud go wire to wire for a 3-stroke win, the first PDGA win of his career in any division. In the age-protected pro divisions, Dave Coe took down MP40 by 2 strokes over Mark Lassou. And in MP50, it was Jim Graham taking a 4-stroke win over George Jensen and Rob Martinick. In MA1, Cam Corvemaker takes down his 3rd win of the season with an impressive 987 event average over the 2 rounds, which would have seen him win the MPO division by like 6 strokes. We played the same layout as MPO for both rounds, and I think actually the entire podium of MA1 would have won the MPO division, which is the 2nd time in a row that I've played a tournament at Paris, and that has happened, which is kind of crazy. I don't exactly know why that's a Paris thing, but big congrats to Trent for the MPO win. Shout out to Cam for the win in MA1. I got to play with Cam in the first round, and I could tell he was going to win that tournament. He was on another level. Putts were going in, drives were on point the whole time. So big shout out to him. Galen, let's go over to you first on this one, my friend, for any thoughts you might have on the Paris Memorial.
Yeah, just first off, I don't like that you had to rub some salt in the wound of the MA1 podium finishing above the MPO players at Paris. Not just for your, rudeness to Trent, but also, I don't know if you're aware, I don't know if you guys are fans of the boys, but Trent Michaud did play, we'll say, a version of Homelander in the most recent season of the boys on Amazon Prime. And I don't know about you. I wouldn't be messing with Homelander if I were you. So, if you wanna talk about scores, you go right ahead. I'm gonna talk about how great I think Trent Michaud is.
Trent is way nicer than Homelander.
There you go. Again, not necessarily a friend of the pod for being on here, but definitely a friend of me, and I think most of us love seeing him take down his first win at the MPO level. That's crazy. Love that for him. Got to play with both Cam Korvemacher, if I'm saying his last name right, and Matt Bootsma at last year's event at oh my gosh, the Golden Horseshoe Open. The course name is eluding me because it is late. Bunkron, yes, thank you, my friend. Love seeing both of them take down a first and second in MA1. Shout out as well to Taylor Quigley for taking down first in FA2. So I wasn't lucky enough to be at the tournament. Don't have a ton of reports back, but checking out the PDGA page, see a lot of names of people that I like with really good positions. So happy to see it.
Johnny G, what about you, my friend? Let's hear some of your thoughts from the Paris Memorial.
One thing I love to see is competitive disc golf. And I mean, and if you look at all the divisions, and if you exclude, Jane, of course, absolutely dominating her division per usual. There was like one division that had like a margin of victory of like 4 strokes, and the rest were like 1 or 2 for the most part. That's great. That's great competition disc golf. You just absolutely love to see it, especially on a super fun track like Paris, which may come up in the top courses in Ontario discussion that we're going to have at some point. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, I was somewhat disappointed that I wasn't able to make the Paris Memorial, but we were at a different tournament that we're going to talk about next. And it looks like it was a great time.
It was a blast. I love Paris. That's where I got my first PDGA win last season. So Trent, I know what it's like to get your first win there. I don't know what it's like to get it in NPO, but that's another conversation. But anyways, yeah, I love Paris. It is a super fun course. It was a fun tournament. Like I said, it was packed, shotgun start, cards on every single hole, and it was a blast. We also got to hear some stories about, because it is called the Paris Memorial, and some people might know the course as the I am going to totally mess up the last name if I don't look at it on UDisc, which I will hopefully be able to pull up quickly as I'm talking very slowly to try and pull it up. The Dwayne Breziuk. I'm apologizing if I messed that up. That's my best attempt. Dwayne Breziuk Memorial Disc Golf Course, and the Paris Memorial Tournament was a memorial for not only him but some others that have been lost in the community, and there were some signs on the course with their photos and kind of a description of them and what they meant to the community, and it was really awesome to see. So it was a great event, and can't wait for more at Paris in the future. This was, I believe they said that they've had Paris Memorials in the past, but it had gone away for a few years, and now it's back, and they're looking to keep it going every year. So I will definitely be signing up for that one next year. But as you guys alluded to, you guys were at a different tournament. You guys were out at the second of our amateur-only events that we're going to recap, the Wild Country Challenge in Fenelon Falls, Ontario. And this was the first sanctioned event to be held at the Wild Country course. And seeing as you guys were there, let's send it over to you, Shawnee G, to recap this one.
For those who haven't played Wild Country yet, it's free to play. For a donation is always greatly appreciated. 7,500 foot, 18-hole private course on the McShane's property near Fenelon Falls. Hole 1 starts right next to the house, and then it spreads out over an old quarry property that has been sort of left to return to its natural state over decades. Fairways are carved out of tall, dense field grass with a hand mower, because this is in the Canadian Shield and rocks would destroy a riding mower. If you would like some shade on the course, I'm sorry, they don't have any. It's a course that you sort of survive, let alone not really play. The tournament saw players playing 3 rounds over 2 days. Round 1 was cloudy and mild. It was probably the best conditions I've ever played Wild Country. And then the sun came out for rounds 2 and 3, and so did the wind, and there was a lot of both. And this significantly increased the difficulty of the course. It is draining, this course, to play in those conditions. But what an absolute blast of a challenge. A friend of the show, Spencer Young, took down MA1 with a really impressive -10. And again, if you played this course, -10 is, and we were playing longs. Only the longs were used for all divisions. -10 over 3 rounds is a fantastic score. He beat out Garrett Morgan by 7 strokes. Spencer's final round of a -6 was a fantastic 10-13 rated, and in round 1 he also bagged an ace over in FPO, or excuse me, in FA1. It was a battle between Alexis Zool and Alyssa Saunders for the 3 rounds. Alexis had the lead at one point. Alyssa caught up, and by the end of the 3rd round, they were tied, and it forced a playoff. The playoff took 3 holes to resolve, and in the end, it was Alyssa that emerged victorious and took it down. This was a super fun event. I think Andrea, the TD, is thinking about making it a B tier next year and bringing in the pros. I think it would be absolutely super fun to watch pros try and shred this course. I'm going to send it over to Galen, who, as he mentioned, was also there. What are your thoughts on this tournament?
Just the most fun I've had playing disc golf in a while, man. I mentioned that I don't always get to go back to back on weekends, but with this and Sandy Hollow combined, again, I get to see like a lot of the people that I love in this sport. But this being the freshest, I have the most affectionate, warm feelings about it, and love seeing Spencer Young take down first in MA1. I also want to sort of add a few shoutouts sort of peppered in here. Garrett Morgan also carding a 10-13 rated round. Garrett's first round and Spencer's third were both 10-13 rated, and it's not easy to card a 1,000 rated round. God knows I've been trying. So shout out to both of them for making that happen this weekend.
And for those that don't know, Garrett only throws thumbers. That's all he throws. He putts normally, but he only throws thumbers. I throw him like 450 feet. It is wild. I've played with him a few times, and it's insane. My shoulder hurts watching him play.
I genuinely wonder if anybody besides Garrett has ever thrown a 10, 13 or whatever, called 1,000 plus rated round, throwing only thumbers off the tee, because I feel like that is a statistical improbability.
The only other person I could think of would be Jake Wolf, but yeah, it's a rare breed to do something that crazy.
A rare breed for sure. Also want to shout out Jeremy Brister. I want to start coining. I was sort of joking them this weekend. Medium Germ, based on his size and skills. Medium Germ took down 3rd place at MA1. That battle from Alyssa and Alexis was pretty fantastic in FA1. We had finished our rounds, and I mentioned that my arm was hurting. I was just like wiped. I went back to the campsite that I was staying at and just said, all right, I'm done. I'm going to take it easy. And said, you know what, I got to go buy a few raffle tickets, and went to go buy a raffle ticket. Somebody's like, hey, the FA1 playoff is going on right now. And I was like, great, watching that. And got to sort of be surprised by it. And it was a battle. Congrats to Alyssa for taking it down. But up until she did, it was shot for shot. The 2 drives on the first hole were almost identical, upshots, putts. The second hole they played, and into the 3rd hole they played, it was like, it didn't feel like anybody could get the advantage. Eventually Alyssa did, but what a hard-fought victory. Shout out to Bevy, Ryan Bevilacqua for taking down third in MA40. The disc golf power couple of Patricia and Tobin Isaac for taking down first at FA40 and MA50. We're not going to mention the number of competitors in FA40, but they took down those 2 wins, and Tobin over a heck of a field, including Vern Lapine, who I know he's had some battles with in the past. Gabby Vivar, not sure if she has any relation to the podcast at all, taking down FA50, but happy for her. Seems like a nice person. Every conversation we've had. Mike Pelly for taking down first MA2 by just a heck of a margin. Just a field of 8, but he went wire to wire, took it down by 9 strokes. And friend of the pod, James Atkinson, in second, and also friend of the pod, Chris Shepard, in third. Just a heck of a weekend, guys. I had a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of the people that I love in this sport do really well, so I was really happy to see it. Anything you want to add there, Robbie? I know you weren't there, but if there's any shout outs we've omitted or any comments you want to add, over to you, my friend.
Not much that I have to add other than I just can't wait to get out and play this course at some point. I can't wait.
Let me tell you about my round and how awful this thing was. So, I'm playing at MA40. First round, I do a +9. I am very happy with that. Above my rating, solid, love it. Made the lead card for round 2. Let's go. Proceeded to shoot a +18. Total garbage, trash fire of a round. Just absolutely awful. The wind was blowing. So the probably the most, like, I do not have a big arm, and so for headwind or whatever, when I need something to really make sure it's going to fade, I break out the time lapse. I should not be throwing a time lapse. I have no business throwing a time lapse. Threw the time lapse off hole 3. It turned over and went flying into the woods. It did not have a hint of fade to it. It was an absolute cluster F of a round. Not to be outdone, though, by my third round, which was also a +18. And so I lost 3 discs in 3 holes to set the pace of the round. Absolutely fantastic showing on my part. So give a shout out to me for going from lead card to DFL in the matter of probably like half a hole. That's really about what it took. DFL is the official Sean Galbraith Memorial position on the scorecard, and I was glad to be able to represent it properly in a truly spectacular fashion, while having an absolute great time playing with some absolutely fantastic people.
Yeah, you mentioned losing 3 discs in a round, and Tobin, I mentioned, and I were sharing a campsite, and he came back after a practice round on Friday that I couldn't play in and said, who's going to win tomorrow? And I said, no, you and Patricia. And he said, whoever has the most effing discs.
Yes.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. It's fairway golf.
Yeah.
Keep it in the fairway at Wild Country and you will do extremely well. Because if you go off the fairway, God help you.
And we had
lots of spotters. Like, there were amazing volunteers in this tournament. It was great. Local community totally came out. And discs were just going, bye-bye. See ya.
Yeah, see you later.
Wild Country might be the most appropriately named course I've ever played.
100%.
It's wild. It's great.
Yeah, no, and I had a little bit of a roller coaster like Sean too, which I alluded to but didn't fully flesh out. So like Sean, I had a round in which I finished in the Sean Galbraith Memorial position. I finished tied DFL for the first round. I had a great second round and made lead card, and then I finished tied DFL in the third round. Like, not overall, I think I finished 2 spots off the bottom, but my third round was tied for the worst. So it was quite the weekend. But the most important part for me was how much fun I had, and I'm glad to hear Sean felt the same.
Absolutely. More throws, more fun. I didn't drive all that way to play less golf. You know my sayings. Let's do it.
Words of wisdom from Shawnee G. Unless there's anything more you boys would like to add from those tournaments, I think we can move on to our first interview of the episode, and we have a great one coming up. It is about time that we finally had on MPO Ontario legend Marty Hendel for an interview, and Marty was gracious enough to give us some of his time so we can talk about his season so far and, his coming up in disc golf. It is a great interview, and we are going to send it over to Marty right now. Our next guest is a true local legend. After wins earlier this year at the Christie Lake Spring Fling and the Top Link Open, he's coming off of his third win of the season and 67th of his career at the Eastern Canadian Nationals at Eddyville. The win was also his 61st career win here in Ontario, the most of all time by any player in Ontario, and it was the 10th A-tier win of his career. With a 1014 player rating, he is also currently the highest rated disc golfer in Canada. It's a privilege to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast, Marty Hendel. Marty, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, it is absolutely our pleasure to have you on. And, I'll just start by saying, like I said in the intro there, congrats on another win this season, another win in Ontario too. And I'm kind of curious. I'm not sure if you knew that stat about most wins in Ontario. I believe you have I think it's like a 10 tournament win lead over Chris O'Zollins in that stat. Not sure if you knew that before. I'm just kind of curious what your reaction is to hearing that. Most wins all time in Ontario.
I think I heard about this last year. I was closing in on, I think it was Jeff Malton. Was it Jeff Malton that I was chasing, or I'm not sure?
So it's actually the top three right now is actually it's you, Oz, Elaine King has 50, and then Colleen McInnes is in fourth right now. Actually, Jeff's definitely on that list though.
Yeah. I just racked up a bunch of them. I mean, it's I've been for a while there.
You were able to take down another A-tier win at the Eastern Canadians out in Eddyville. You had an epic battle with Cam Zanini where the two of you really separated yourselves from the rest of the field. Break down how you approached that course and that challenge that you and Cam went through.
Well, when we first arrived there, the courses were a bit saturated, but Thursday was our practice day, and I was able to squeeze in the 2 rounds. It's a bit of a hike, but there's not too much elevation, so it doesn't fatigue your legs too bad. Some nice intricate holes on both courses. It's a pretty scoreable course in comparative to other courses, but still has some danger and out of bounds on the. Now he recently changed the names as well. They used to be sponsored by Prodigy and Innova. I believe it's MVP. So about the 2 courses, one's a little bit more open with a few wooded holes, where the other one has, 1/3 of it open, but the rest is kind of closed in. And, it brings in a good open and wooded kind of look at things. And, I have a lot of good experience there. So I know that I don't need as much practice to kind of familiarize my mind with all the holes.
I remember one of my first memories of, it might have been the first time I actually got to meet you, was at, I believe it was 2021 Provincials. I think it was the first year Provincials was held out there, and you laid an absolute beatdown on the field and won by like 13 strokes or something like that at Provincials. And I was like, who the heck is this guy at MPO just beating down on people? And that was my first experience to what Marty Hendel can do to MPO fields in Ontario. So definitely you're no stranger to Eddyville out there. I'm curious, do you have a preference on one of the courses? We have, of course, you mentioned it's new names now. I believe it's the MVP Dunes and Axiom Dream, or maybe it's the opposite way around. I don't remember, but they still got the Dunes and the Dream course. Do you have a preference on one of those 2 courses that you enjoy more?
I shoot better at the Dream course, which used to be known as the Prodigy course. Yeah, and the Dunes course I enjoy more. I think it becomes just more dangerous at the Dunes area where the winds can put you out of bounds, and it makes for a fun finishing course. And I had a good 6 strokes going into hole, I think it was 15. He took one back. That was 5. And then I lost 2 on 16, and then 1 more on 17. And then, I was like, that's enough, Cam. I had 2 to go into 18, and I just knew just to play it as smart as possible. Play for the 4. It would force him to have to try to do something crazy like eagle or something like that, which I think he did. And he went out of bounds, but I didn't know it was out of bounds until I got up there. So I just knew, since it didn't go in for an eagle, I knew I just had to get it there for a par. I win by 1. So I played the smart choice, which is
you certainly can score well on both those courses. You shot a -11 on Dream and a -11 on Dunes.
Yes.
In back-to-back rounds, 10:27 and 10:45 rated rounds. I think regardless of which one you like playing the best, you can score incredible on both of them. So you came into round 5. First of all, 5 rounds. This is a pretty grueling war of attrition. Probably the longest tournament in terms of number of rounds outside of Worlds, really.
Yeah. Only time
and you do it over fewer days.
Yeah. One other time, I think it was the Ontario Provincials. I can't remember exactly what year, but I think that's the one that Robbie is talking about. I think I won by 23 strokes. I'm not sure if that's the same year you're thinking of.
So I sold you short by saying 13 or whatever. Jeez, I lowballed you.
We could be looking at a different tournament too. I'm not sure, but that one in it was Peterborough, right? With the river.
Oh yeah, the one that I was thinking of was when I think the first of the back-to-back years that it was held at Eddyville was the one that I was talking about. So I knew you could do well at Eddyville, but looking at some of your older career stats for older provincials and whatnot, I don't remember that one specifically, but yeah, that one. So that one was more. The provincials used to be more than just. It was a 5-round tournament then in the past. Is what you're saying?
It was 5 rounds over 3 days, and I think Canada had Monday as a holiday, so it was talked about on by Dina Vici. I can't remember what system he was using, to do his podcasts or. Right. Yeah, it was talked about, and it was. I shot probably one of my best rounds at a wooded course, VME. I think the old record was 56. I shot a 49. And, that was designed by a sidearm, sidearm favoring kind of, course designer.
We all know that you're a forehand dominant player, right?
Oh yeah. I'm working on it. Still is coming along. I think I'm going to stick with that until, I decided these what kind of steps I want to take, at the approach for sidearm.
He's PSA to all Ontario MPO players. Marty's still adding more to his tool belt, and we be scared. I am curious looking back at the ECAN tournament. You and Cam, I think it was after round 3, you guys were tied, and I believe a full 10 strokes ahead of the field. You guys are just locked in an epic battle together. Does that kind of play from other competitors help you raise your own game to another level? Do you enjoy being pushed like that on the course?
More adrenaline, more excitement. It does doesn't necessarily drive good performance. I mean, it makes you try to strive to make more of a space between you and the second. But Cam didn't have anybody chasing him in third, so he had no one pressuring him from the third position. So then his focus is on me the whole time, and I just knew to keep playing the best. And luckily I was able to get a 6-stroke lead. I think after round 4, and that was I knew it's not over till it's over. So I defended it really well up until hole 15, where I started to let some slide. I think I was just being a little bit of mentally and physically fatigued, and a little bit of that, and the ending kind of brings in a little bit of extra pressure.
Coming in with 6 strokes against somebody who clearly is as talented as Cam, are you letting off the gas a little bit so that because you're mentally and physically fatigued? Is there a conscious decision there, or are you just still like driving on every 100 giving 100% on every shot, or do you feel like I can give up a few? I don't need to run everything right now.
You know what? I told myself on 16 to stay in bounds, but I still went for the hole. I ended up going out of bounds, and then Cam avoided the out of bounds a bit too much. He let himself like 60 feet, makes the putt, and takes 2 strokes on me on that. I was like, oh man, okay, you know what? I did have a lot going in there, so I'm not nervous yet. But I did go from 6 to 3 in 2 holes, and then 17 is more of an island style shot, and I put myself well in bounds. But knowing that he's right on my tail, I felt some nerves for sure. I missed my putt on 17, which I wouldn't normally. I think it was just finishing, and then on 18 having 2 strokes and a really good drive got me under the willow. I wasn't able to run it. I could have went for the birdie, but it would have been completely pointless. Or I mean, I could throw away the tournament by doing that. And it would have been nice to know if he was in bounds or out of bounds. When he threw his, I didn't get no sign or signal, so I have to assume that he's in bounds and potentially could get a birdie. If I get my par, which is pretty easy to execute from where I was off my drive, there's a 1-stroke cushion. But he was out of bounds, and I believe he missed the putt, so I won by 3.
Could have taken a bogey on that final hole, which gave you the win, and of course was also a little bit of redemption from, I think it was only a couple weeks earlier, where you were trying to chase him down in the final round at the Guelph Royale. Put on I believe you shot the hot round in the final round at 10 under at Vic, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering right, which is, that's a scorcher out there. Was just a little short of coming up. He took down the win, and you got your revenge here, fending off his battles. So I know you and Cam, I'm sure have battled, plenty of times before as well. Just kind of curious your thoughts on Cam as a pro, and he's obviously it's continuing to get better every year. I think this year he's been snubbed trying to get back to 1,000 rated. I think PDGA has given him 999 like 3 or 4 times, and won't let him get to that 1,000 rated mark. But just kind of give me your thoughts on Cam as a competitor, and maybe just the overall field in Ontario too. How you feel about the status of MPO in Ontario?
The status is good. It's growing, and it's good to see. A lot of different players that are improving, and it continues to get bigger. And I think once you get a few amateurs, feeling some success, beating some pros, it's a huge confidence booster. And I just do my best to win, because I don't want to give confidence to too many people.
Well, that one right there.
Let's talk Masters Worlds. This year you teamed up with legendary player Dave Felberg and took down the win in doubles at this year's event. and your sister Sandy won on the women's side with Jen Allen. How cool of an experience was that for the double Hendel championships in doubles? How do you like playing the doubles events?
Oh, they were a blast, and it was good practice at Jones East. And funny story is, me and Sandy were going to team up originally, and then Jen Allen stole my partner, stole Sandy's.
She poached her.
Yeah, basically. And then Sandy found me someone online from some guy from Ohio, and this gentleman said he knew me, but he wasn't sure. So when I got down there, it was fine. I'm looking at it as practice and a stab at it, right? I get a message from Dave Feldberg on my phone. He goes, "Hey, you want to win?" He goes, "Yes, partner, and let's do this." If and I'm like, I want to win, but I got to find my partner, another partner, and
this is awkward.
Yeah, exactly. So I contacted the other guy, and I told him the story of I know Feldberg pretty well, and we're gonna team up. And he was like, "Oh, I understand." I was like, "I'll buy you lunch or something like that." I never did buy him lunch. He never did ask for it. The offer was there, but me and Dave came out with, I think it was a 14 under best shot, and then an 8 under. Alternate shot. We tied 2 amazing Finns. This guy reminded me of a fiendish Johnny McRae, and the other
Mika
guy
and Yoni.
Yes, yes. And Yoni was a tall big guy with really powerful sidearm. So, and the other guy had a big backhand. So they were a big combo, duel. And I think I held my own for the most part. Near the end, I had a bad miss putt. We had a 1-stroke lead on 17, and we end up getting a bogey, and they birdied. And
that's right.
And I was like, I felt like I let the team down. Dave Feldberg makes an amazing putt for birdie. I ran the eagle, and I went past about 30, maybe 32 to 35 feet. Can't remember.
Ooh. Dave
Feldberg said he had a lucky charm in his pocket, and that his kid gave going. He made the putt, and that's heavy pressure on. I think it was Yoni. He missed the putt, and then we went on to a playoff where we both tied on hole 1, and then took it on the second hole of the playoff there, which was.
How do you like playing the doubles format? Is it something that you typically play at Worlds?
Yes. Now, for the last, I don't know how many years, it's a modified best shot and modified alternate shot. So with modified best shot, you're forced to take. You can't take someone more than 3 in a row. You're forced to take partners. And same with an alternate shot. One guy plays odds, the other guy plays even holes to start the tee, and that's about it. I mean. Alternate shot is obviously where you want to make the best push, and it takes a really strong team to do well. Anybody could do well in best shot. I've done it before once with I think it was in 2015, where I was sitting in first above Nico and Jess at the time.
I would love to see more coverage of doubles. I think it's just a fantastic format.
Absolutely.
I agree. So let's take things back for a second, Marty. You joined the PDGA in 2009, and you were immediately playing in MPO. Had you been playing disc golf for a while at that point, or did you just decide to jump right into the pro scene? And what originally got you into the sport?
Well, growing up in St. Thomas, a little bit of a hot spot for disc golf. I seen the game played in my early teens, so I learned some of the basics. We would play. A specific group of us and make our own pars, even print out our own golf cards. And I learned some of the basics. We didn't play a whole lot, but it wasn't until the age of 19 where I started to play a lot. And then I used I tested my skills at the Can-Am Series Finals, which was one of the longest tournaments run in St. Thomas. and it took place in Pinafore, which was a nice park where they set up a temp course. And that's where really when I remember watching a final 9 or maybe the final round, and noticing a pro was making $1,000 for first place, and I thought, man, that's kind of neat, I'd like to do something similar. So when I did get my PDGA, I think I played maybe 3 years in amateur, 3 years amateur 2, and then 1 year amateur 1, and then moved to pro. Can't remember exactly what year. But once I registered, I don't think I was under a 982 in 2009. I don't know if I've sunk lower than 982 rating wise. I could be wrong. But so yeah, I just had some early experience playing it, when I was younger, and just kept at it, and used the Can-Am series as a kind of proving grounds as I improved. And in my third year in AM2, I won it. I won first place. I was called Sandbagger, this and that. So I moved to advanced amateur, and I won it. Got called Sandbagger again. I only spent 1 year in advanced, right? So then it was basically, move to pro, and I ended up tying in first the year after that. I lost in the playoff to Salden, nicknamed Skip. It was a really good pro. He doesn't play too much, but he still plays locally here every once in a while. And
it sounds like pro was the right division for you, pretty clearly.
Yeah. You can only get called Sandbagger so much before you gotta.
Yeah. I'm curious too, because these days, we've seen a huge rise in a lot of really young talent coming up in Ontario. And, for a lot of those pros, they look at someone like you as a legend in Ontario MPO play, as someone to look up to. But when you were coming up, who were you looking at as that kind of inspiration that made you want to jump up? Who were the pros that, when you first started getting into it, you were blown away by their shots and they were motivating you to get better?
Well, it was probably maybe Kim Scott Wood. I remember he would come down, he was on the lead pair, and I'd watch him just fire these shots, and I'm like, okay. And he's not a really big guy himself. Not to put Kim down or nothing like that, but we did have a guy named Big Wolf who would throw these left-handed shots, and so you see these different body types, and you see these guys just launching shots. It doesn't matter if you're small or big; it just mattered about technique, and just seeing these discs fly, and the putting, and just the I don't know. I don't know what I just got drawn into it. Maybe the competitiveness of it. I don't know. It's really hard. Just growing up around this sport and playing. When you play something you like and you enjoy, it's it's hard to move on to something else.
And lucky enough too for you, like you said, growing up in St. Thomas, you have the third oldest course in Ontario, right there in St. Thomas with VA Barrie, which actually the Flats Classic just happened recently. We had on MPO champion Ezra Lockington on for an interview, and as I was doing a little bit of research just on past tournaments, I was scrolling through, I saw Scott Stokely had come up and won it at one point. Elaine obviously won it a whole bunch when it was first going on, and I was scrolling through the amateur and I see Martin Hendel right there in the amateur division, and I don't know, it might have been one of like your first year playing, and just the names in the pros, a lot of them I didn't recognize, although it is really cool to see that. I think Jeff Moulton won it in like 89 or something like that, and is still playing MPO in that tournament today, which is really cool. So yeah, having that history in your own backyard, I'd say is a nice advantage to have when you're first getting into the sport.
Absolutely. Not only having old courses, and we have V. Barrie and Dalewood, and and using Pinafore as an attempt course, and having some of the oldest running events. I think the Can-Am series kind of finally fell through, but it was one of the longest events. I'm not sure which one now is. I don't know, maybe it's the Rochester Flying Disc Open. I'm not sure if that was at its 50th year, I think, but
this is his 51st year.
Coming up, yeah. I'm looking forward to play that course as well. It's a really fun course.
Yeah, I just played. They had a Masters a Masters AFDO last month.
Oh yeah.
And my wife and I we went down to play it, and it was our first time playing Parma. And man, what a course that is! Super fun.
It is. It's fun to play, and when they have the lines up and the flags, and they got a lot of people that love to watch too. So you get a good gallery, and I'm pretty well known there too. So it's nice to have some fans there. Almost make you feel like a local when you've developed a small fan base.
Yeah, I loved watching you play on coverage last year at the AFDO on Disc Golf Network, and especially how much the commentators were loving the quote unquote dad rollers that you were launching all over the course. That was super fun. Rollers are certainly something that you are a well-known master of. Are rollers do you think they're like an underappreciated or underdeveloped part of the game?
I think it's,
you don't you see that people break them out every once in a while, but could they be used more and more effectively?
oh yeah, I think so. But you have to be careful with out of bounds, and honestly, it really comes down to what your skill set provides and what's your money making bread and butter. If you have a great air shot, and it's more for low ceiling. Works at Toronto Island was a good course to throw one or two because of the low ceiling, and your chances of getting further up the fairway go up a lot, especially with the low ceilings. And that's mainly the only reason in this challenge a left to right for a right-handed backhand player. Of course, I think if people realized something like that little dad or grandpa roller I did, in that situation, I got an easy birdie, walk away birdie, and people sidearming. You have to be very delicate. You have to go around the corner. You can't go too far. I think you know what hole I'm talking about. It's a par 4. Yeah, that one hole. But I was just amazed, honestly, by the Ezra. How I played with him, and I don't know if I played with him and his brother directly, but I'd first hear about these guys, qualifying for USDGC, not really playing the tour, but now we're watching them, kind of take over a little bit. They're two good brothers that are becoming quite a force out there.
So with your second place finish at Foxwood this year, you officially qualified for this year's USDGC. Are you planning on heading down to Rock Hill in the fall to take part in that?
Absolutely. Looking forward to
Absolutely. And so speaking of USDGC, in 2021, you were able to get on the lead card in the third and fourth rounds, and you hit an incredible highlight putt on hole 7, the triple Mando bamboo wall, where you came up short of the Mando, were pinched off and left, and hyzered in a putt through the fence. It was sick to watch. And I remember that getting shared a ton on social media after that as well. What was that whole experience like, being on the final round lead card of one of the biggest events in disc golf?
Well, I remember round 3. I was thinking I'm pumped. I got to play with Wasaki again, and it turns out I pushed him to the chase card, and I was walking back to the car, and then I think Macbeth drove past, and he said, "The trophy stays in America." And I'm like, well, I think that's what he said. I could be wrong, but he drove past and chirped me from his car or his vehicle, and I didn't realize he shot 11 under in the rain, which was crazy, and no one else shot near that. I came in with a 4 under, and same with my sister. Actually, she had a 4 under as well. And a near ace. I'm not sure if it was that same day on 17, but no, to be that was something else to see what Macbeth did when he found out there was a score discrepancy with Kyle Klein. they entered him in as a 4 when he really got a birdie, and they didn't fix it till the end. So Macbeth, thinking he had a lead, he played off to the on the far side of the island, make sure he was safe, and then he found out that he was behind, and he had a birdie either 17 or 18 just to push a playoff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't know about this.
So yes, I guess I've heard this now. Some tournaments now they don't want gallery to have phones because it's draining from the
Cell phone coverage.
The cell phone coverage is it's causing delays or
It's really bad.
It's getting bad. So that was one of the experiences there is some of their footage was lost or this or that, and one of the data input that was just weird. But what Macbeth did at that moment was it was like and to be in first row, like to see that happen. He made a putt from, I don't know, it was 50, 55, good breeze, and he cans it, and then he goes for it on 18, which I thought was a little crazy. But I mean, I guess there's safe ways to run stuff. But I had people come up to me after and say that was a great putt on number 7. Was that number 7? Or sorry, number 8.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
sorry, number 7.
7.
Yeah, 7, the triple Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was pretty upset to bounce that far back, but I think I got the big putt the battle at that point because I made the putt, and I don't think they made their putts after that.
And the crowd went absolutely wild in reaction to that too, which I absolutely loved. Was that the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of? What was it like being in front of that much of an audience?
Honestly, it was. I don't know. It's still. I don't know. I don't know how I kept my cool, but I just realized I just played my shots the way I should, and it was just focus on breathing and performing, and you got to know that the other guys get nervous too. I remember it was Chris Dickerson. He threw over 5 the water, and I was like, "Oh, do you normally throw that low?" And he goes, I do when I get nervous. So it's that kind of was a bit relieving to me, knowing that it's nerve-wracking for those guys too. But yeah, no, it was an interesting experience, having the gallery first of all, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it.
We've got a big event coming up here in Ontario next weekend, the Innova Rip. Mm-hmm. And as the top Canadian on Team Innova, I don't see your name on the registration list there. What's up with that? How come you're not coming to the GOAT to take it down?
I think what's going on is we're playing the I got my USDGC spot. That was the main reason to play that event.
So you don't need that.
Yeah, I don't need that. And I think, is that the same weekend as Rochester?
It is. It's the same weekend as the AFDO.
Yeah, so I really wanted to play that one again. But yeah, no, I'll you're right though. As an Innova sponsored player, I should be capitalizing on big events like that. But I really enjoyed my time at Rochester, and I'd like to see if I can make some moves again there.
Is the AFDO only playing Parma, or do you play a couple courses?
I believe it's Parma, but it's a fun little layout they have. So I'm not sure if there's any other courses added to it.
So Marty, I want to ask you about one of my favorite disc golf videos that has ever been created, and that's Why Do Canadians Excel at Disc Golf, featuring Martin Hendel, where you're playing at VA Barrie in the snow while in shorts and a t-shirt like a true Canadian. How did this video come about? How much fun did you have filming it? How cold were you while you were filming it? Give me all the information.
All right, so there was someone that had some equipment, and he's from this area. He has a studio, and he wanted to help promote me and disc golf. Yeah, I can't remember the full story behind it, honestly, but I said I'd go ahead with it, and we'll try to make this funny, put some like a little Canadian twist in it. And I was putting on my clothes, man, my arms were frozen. I was it almost hurt to move them like after that, but I was pretending like it was nothing. And no, it's a funny video. Pretty sure
It is absolutely hilarious. For those that haven't been able to see it, I knew I had seen this video back in the day, but I couldn't remember what it was called. And it took me a little while to be able to actually find it on YouTube. So for anybody that wants to go check it out, Shawnee G, if you can leave the link in the show notes, or like I said, the actual title on YouTube is Why Do Canadians Excel at Disc Golf, featuring Martin Hendel. And it is 100% worth the watch. And you know what? I guess just a follow-up for that, Marty. When's your acting career starting? Because, I mean, that was A+.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if that acting career is going to happen or not. We'll see. We'll see. I know. I'll have to try out for something next time around LA.
There you go. There you go. Lots of disc golf courses down there you can play while you're in the area, too.
Yeah, I haven't played much in California and Florida. So those are some two areas I'd like to hit up to, and maybe a little bit of the West Coast.
Some pretty good hotbeds for disc golf, I'd say.
I've played. My wife's family is in Central Florida, so we've played probably almost all of those courses in sort of the Tampa to Orlando corridor.
Yeah, you got to play.
Excellent.
Yeah, the one they used for the chess.com or the.
Yeah, that's a little bit up in Brooksville. We went to it. Now it's called Olympus. Used to be throw down the mountain or the canyon, that's the quarry or something. We were there for All-Star Weekend this year, and holy hell, what a course that is!
Yeah, I'd love to give that one a run.
Yeah, I think you would absolutely love it. It's probably the best course in Florida, and it's completely unique in Florida just because it has elevation and up and down, and there's cliffs, and it's wild. Absolutely wild course.
Awesome. Well, I hopefully I can give it a try. Is it going to be part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour again? Most likely.
Yep, it's kicking off the season next year.
Nice. Hopefully I'll be able to play that. Maybe the kids can go to, because it's not too far from Orlando.
Yeah, it's about an hour-ish, hour and a half from Orlando, something like that. Yeah, definitely. I would strong recommend. It looks like an incredible course.
Yeah, I watched quite a bit of footage there.
No shortage of courses out in California either. So I'd say California and Florida for disc golf trips. I'd say that's pretty ideal.
Mm-hmm. Carolinas are also nice.
Well, Marty,
North Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's maybe the disc golf hotbed. I don't know if actually what has like the most amount of like courses in the top UDisc 100 or something like that. I'm sure they have that broken down somewhere. Which state has the highest amount? I'd have to look at that. North Carolina, I'm sure is up there.
I think Texas has the most in the States.
Wow. Texas has the most courses, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I probably most in the top 100, I'd say, just based on landmass. But Marty, we have had you on for a while now. Thank you so much for giving you so much of your time. And before we let you go, we want to hit you with just a little bit of a lightning round that we like to ask all our guests. Just some quick answers, whatever comes to your mind first. And we've got a couple here for you. First one I've got, what's your favorite course?
My favorite course would be Winthrop.
You've certainly, I'm sure, gone on many a disc golf road trip before. What is the go-to stop for food when you're out on the road traveling between cities?
I guess it depends where you are. There's a place I think it's in Michigan called Holden's. You got a beautiful disc golf store. You got fried chicken. And the chicken's amazing.
I have like a long lost relative that owns a restaurant in Michigan, Holden's.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see if I can get the Holden discount if I ever go there.
That's right. Just flash the card.
Holden's is the place near Toboggan, right?
Yes.
That is I was there. I played the tournament, the Oakland County Championships this year, and absolutely hit up Holden's.
Nice.
And it is absolutely fantastic. A solid recommendation. Good little disc golf store too.
Yeah, absolutely. They got tons of discs and have discount discs, and so you can go shopping for discs. So you can pick up some alcohol if you wanted it, and they have hot foods ready to go.
Putting the party in the party store name.
This sounds like a version of me, like traveled into a version of me in the future, traveled back in time and set up this store in Michigan, because it sounds like a dream.
Who knows what you made it?
I need to get in on this business venture.
Oh, it'd be
next question for you, Marty. One sport to play or watch other than disc golf. What are you choosing?
I like mixed martial arts.
Nice. Heck yeah. My man, you a UFC guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's your fan favorite right now?
Fan favorite? Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, favorite fighter if you have one. One that you like to cheer for.
I guess John Jones.
Yeah.
He's just an incredible fighter. He just obviously doesn't fight much. He fought once in the last 4 or 5 years, but he's still got something coming up big this year. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to. I think he'll do well against Stipe, and then we'll see if he retires or if he keeps some of those big heavyweights. It's a dangerous category for weight. Those guys are dangerous.
Young John Jones in the light heavyweight division when he was coming up was something else to watch. So yeah, great pick there.
Last question before we sign off. You had the opportunity to build your perfect card. 3 other players, past, present, non-players. What's your dream foursome going out to play around?
Okay. That's a really good question. I mean, are we talking like a competitive round or just tournament round, or like who would I think would be the best?
I think who would you have the most fun going out to play around with? That could be because it would be so competitive, or because the vibe would be so fun.
Okay.
Maybe it's someone that you haven't played with before, though you've probably played with almost everyone by now.
I'd say,
however you interpret the question.
Greg Barsby, Philo, and maybe Kale LaVisca. I mean, that'd be a grooving, funny card, relaxed, and good golf at the same time. That would be a really cool card.
I want this round to happen, and I want it on film so bad.
Yeah, I'm paying to spectate on that one.
100%.
I've signed up for the Philo clinic at the Innova RIP, and I'm super psyched to get some tips from him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge, and he's really good with those mid ranges and tee pads and points, and very similar to
one of the most famous.
Yes,
one of the most famous shots in disc golf history, the Philobatros.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that one. I remember talking to that in Kansas at the Champions Landing, which used to be Country Club there, and it was a fun card. It was me, him, I think Barry Schultz, and somebody else, and I was there's Darrell Banks.
You got the next interview coming in hot, Darrell.
He's coming in hot.
Marty, we will. Sean said one last question. I got one more that I want to ask you, just because I'm curious what your answer will be to this. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I could have any superpower. What would it be? Maybe invisibility.
Nice. I like that.
I don't know. That's a good one.
Hard to think of on the spot, but I like that. I think a lot of people will go with like flight or like super speed or something like that, but I like invisibility. I like that. Yeah.
And what was the last question?
So before we let you go, Marty, do you have any shout outs, any final comments that you would like to give? Shout out any of your sponsors, anything like that? The floor is all yours.
Just the same as usual. I want to thank Innova, thank my family for the support. Thank you guys for running an awesome podcast, and I wish you the best. And I hope you rack up tons of subscribers, and I'll be here for future wins. Do you want to talk about stuff?
Absolutely. You keep racking up those wins, and we'll have you back on when you do.
All right. Well, say hi to Darrell for me.
we absolutely. I'm sure he could probably hear that, actually. I don't know if he's got headphones in or something, but yeah, thank you so much, Marty, for joining us here on the show, and we will be right back on Missed Mando. Welcome back to Missed Mando. Thank you so much to Marty for joining us for a interview. Galen, I know you unfortunately missed out on that one, but it was fantastic. And Sean, that was a blast to have Marty on the show finally.
Absolute legend. Loved hearing his stories and learning about his approach to disc golf. Yeah, absolutely great to have him on the show.
Yeah, I generally try to avoid listening to our podcast back. Some of Sean's comments, it's just really tough to actually have to hear in real time. But I look forward to hearing this segment because an interview with Marty Hendel, like, come on. I don't care what podcast is doing that. I'm listening, and I'm glad that it was ours. Just sad I missed it.
Heck yeah. It was long overdue for us to get Marty on. We tried to get him on earlier in the year. Scheduling wise didn't really work out, but we finally got him on, and we'll have him on again at some point for sure, because that was a great conversation. And speaking of great conversations, we have another fantastic interview coming up for you. We have the course designer and TD for the upcoming Innova RIP tournament at Hope Goat. We have Darrell Bankus coming on to join us, and we will be right back with Darrell. Our next guest is the founder of Tin Lid Disc Golf Course Designs, which includes, among its many installed courses, the championship courses at Foxwood and Hope Goat. He's a registered landscape architect and has been designing and building courses for almost a decade. For a few years now, he has also been a tournament director of some of the biggest events in Ontario, including the Foxwood Open and coming up next week, the Innova RIP, about which we have him on tonight to talk about. We are really happy to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast, Darrell Bankus. Darrell, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Of course. It is our pleasure. And so, as we mentioned, next weekend, you're bringing one of the largest, if not the largest, Pro Tour level events to Hope Goat. How did this come about, and how excited are you for it to be over with?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I'm excited for it to get started. We're in this really neat spot right now. We're only sort of 10, 12 days away, and it's like the calm before the storm. There's not much more I can do, other than just making sure a few things happen. But if it hasn't been planned for now, it's probably not going to happen. So, but we're in great shape. So, the tournament's coming along well. You asked why or what? How did you phrase it? How did it come about?
Yeah. What is the origin story of the Innova RIP?
Well, the origin story of the Innova RIP is a good friend of mine, Luke Coombs of Diameter Apparel. And he's already run big tournaments, and, he hosted the Diameter Open last year in Guelph. And he wanted to go bigger this year and make it a bigger event, because he does have access to quite a few of the pros and a lot of the people in the community and in the pro level of disc golf and in the management of it in the States and a little bit around the world. So he was keen to try and showcase and do something that, could be a part of his company and grow and bring them, hopefully, the pro players to Canada. So last September, or even the tail end of summer, August, we probably started chatting about it. He expressed some interest. I've known Luke forever. We went to World AMs when it was back in Kalamazoo and met up there. And So we've had a good time and worked on projects together for quite a while. But we decided to give it a go. And then it took a lot of petitioning. As a lot of you probably know right now, this is the time of year where the PDGA starts asking for A-tier submissions to help organize events for the following year. So it was right around this time that we were putting in a request for who's getting you the best spot on the schedule to host a big event. To have any hope of pros coming, we needed that sweet spot right between D-Glow and Green Mountain Championship. And so we asked for that. That's specifically what we wanted. Luke was down in at the Worlds last year, so he was able to put a bug in a few people's ear saying that we're really going to pull this together. We're going to get Innova on board, Diameter Apparel on board. We'll get a bunch of other sponsors. We got a great course to put it on. We've got a course that can grow. We really fought for it. We had to petition for it, ask for it. And then as soon as we had the A-tier status, it became apparent that the Disc Golf Pro Tour was going to change things up for the 2024 season and sort of change the structure of their tournaments and offer the Q series, a qualifying series of events. And they were going to be different than the tiers they've offered in previous years. They were trying to consolidate a little bit of their effort. So because Luke does work with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I've had a tiny bit of contact with them through my work with Innova. We just started doing what we do, which is, ask people, tell people why we think we're going to do good, put on a show, talk about it, put a proposal in front of people. And so with a little bit of persistence, the Disc Golf Pro Tour announced, that was probably November, December. I think it was early December. We kind of had a hint that it might happen, but we weren't really certain until they finally announced it, that they offered our tournament, which was still then the Diameter Open, as the Disc Golf Pro Tour qualifier and the only one in Canada this year. So pretty excited about that. And then it evolved, as things do. Suddenly we're now running a big Pro Tour event. Not official Pro Tour, but it's still a qualifier.
Pretty close.
It's looking pretty close like a Pro Tour event,
Yeah.
Given the caliber of some of the players that are coming. And Luke and I actually went down to the Disc Golf Expo that was held in Maine, in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Luke was there. I was there working for Innova. We had a big booth set up there. And it was at that time, it was still called the Diameter Open then. We went down and promoted it at that point. I was just looking for the cards. Anyways, we made promotional cards. We handed 500 cards or 600. Every spectator, every person that walked into the show got a card saying the Diameter Open is happening in Canada. You guys should come up and see us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it sort of just kept getting bigger. And then as a tournament gets bigger, it, especially at this scale, it just becomes you need cash, and you need cash sponsors, and you need money in order to run it. You can't get the Disc Golf Pro level players here without a decent purse. You need a lot of money just to do things.
Mm-hmm.
As Sean knows, and Robbie, you both played the course recently. We've been pouring money into the course, so we've been doing upgrade. So, we quickly sort of pivoted a little bit and went, okay, we might have to get a bit more of a bigger cash sponsor, get someone involved. And because I work for Innova, clearly I went, hey, Innova, we should be doing this year. And the timing was perfect as far as Innova is concerned, because this is the year that Innova has made the formal corporate move into Canada with, the
purchasing Ace Runners.
Yeah, the purchase of Ace Runners, and the fact that John Gould Thorpe is now running that end of Innova Disc Golf Canada in Canada, and it's running as, basically as a wholesale opportunity for people to purchase discs. They're still having the retail component, a bit like the factory store. And, and that's been a great success. It was a year to showcase the fact that we are committed to Canada. Innova did it straight through that, acquisition and decide to grow into Canada in that way is a big formal business move, being really the only large disc golf manufacturer that has, a solid position in Canada in that format at the moment. And then it's also the same. Also this year, we're also sponsoring Canadian Nationals. So it's a big week. It's a big month in Canada for Innova. So anyway, so the tournament evolved and we changed the name from the Diameter Open to the Innova RIP, still with Diameter, still a major sponsor and supporter. And Luke's going to be there all weekend. And, I think he's calling out the pros on the first day. I think he's on the schedule for that, if I remember, Sean.
I think so.
And,
I think so.
And then we just keep growing it. So that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
So let's go back before where we are today, and let's talk about the course. How did Haute Goat as a disc golf course first come about? Did you approach them? Did they approach you? Because it really works. It really works well between the farm operation and the disc golf course. It's really great blend.
Well, you guys know I've built quite a few courses across Canada, and the majority in Ontario here, but a couple elsewhere. So there are quite a few people in the community just know my name. They know the work I've done, the work I do with Innova to get all these courses built and help communities get courses in the ground. So the owner's son actually plays a tiny bit of disc golf, like just for fun, much more casual than the three of us ever. And he sort of convinced the family that disc golf would be a good addition to the property. And because it's a big corporate, it's not a big corporate entity, but it's a business. Mm-hmm. They run the farm like it's a big entertainment venue. It's a farm-based entertainment venue, and they host big events there all the time. So they reached out into the community, had a couple of meetings. I was lucky enough. I've bunch of Abbey Gardens, which is a project of mine on a very similar type of property. It's a private piece of land. It's a very large landscape, way beyond the scale of the course. It's a for-profit disc golf course, and that model was exactly what they wanted. So between that and some of the other projects that I have on my resume that, a lot of people in Canada don't know, I'm involved in some projects down in the US. So there's quite a few in the States where I've been helping with the spreadsheets and the planning and the management of trying to convince people that disc golf is an investable activity. So they really like that aspect of it, that I was pretty much guaranteeing a return on investment. No one's getting really rich off of disc golf, but it will pay for itself down the road. And then it also drives a lot of additional traffic and a diverse group of traffic compared to their usual clientele. So it worked really well. And they have this gorgeous landscape to work with there. And then, us building a disc golf course on the property really just, showcases the entire landscape and gives something that, you guys have all probably been there when the goats have been on tour. So, and they go wandering across the disc golf course, and it's a lovely thing for the guests for other activities there to go and see and walk through that landscape. So,
how has the Haute Goat, the farm, have they enjoyed having the course, on the property, and the influx of people who may not, like disc golfers who may not have heard of the goat farm, and sort of that interaction between the two? Or has there been challenges?
There's been very few challenges.
Great.
Yeah. Like works really nicely together. I was sitting with Debbie. Debbie's the owner of the property, with her husband and family, but Debbie's the face you see most days when you're out there. Mm-hmm. And we were having a meeting today about the Innova RIP, and bunch of disc golfers were walking off the course past the cafe, and we're sitting in the living room in the house, and we're looking out the big bay window there. And she just went straight. She goes, "I just love seeing the people walking out and coming out here, and everyone just enjoying themselves." And it was like 6 guys in a row just walking with big smiles on their face, having played, 18 challenging disc golf holes and having a good time today. And I mean, the place is a buzz of activity. You guys all know that.
Oh, yeah.
There's always stuff going on. We got kids out there. We got camps. We got goat yoga. I mean, we got a big Cultivate Music Festival coming up, which we usually host a tournament on. And we're just like, I'm too tired. Just on that one. But it'll still be open for disc golf if you want to go. So.
Well, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The whole goat, just everything you were saying there resonates with me because every time I go there, I feel like when you walk into the cafe, everybody is so friendly and welcoming to you. I've never felt like, they want me to be there for, for other reasons and not for disc golf. They're just happy that I'm there and they're happy that I'm having a good time. Everybody there is so friendly. And it's also, as far as I know, the only place where you can be teeing off on the first hole of your round and have a goat parade come through and interrupt your tee off or give you a little
or the
distraction
alpacas.
at least. So yeah, the alpacas that you get to walk by, it's a unique experience, truly out there, and you've done a great job. But let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that the course can expect for the Innova Rip. This course has been always evolving as long as I've been playing it. You work extremely hard out there to make this property the absolute best that it can. There's now I guess 4 different layouts: Ace Place, Blue, White, Gold, or
That's the generic 4. Yes.
okay, yes.
Right.
So
like that.
sorry, I was just gonna say, so for the Innova Rip and the Gold layout, what kind of changes for people that haven't been to the GOAT in a while? What kind of changes can they expect?
Oh, well, being it's a big course already. So there were a few spots where we just selected, a slightly different tee location. Like the first hole, we added a new gold tee. So the first hole has 3 tees, white, blue, and gold.
Because it just wasn't long enough.
Because it just wasn't long enough for, us 3 go out there. We're probably like, yeah, pretty happy with the blue layout. And I played gold today. And I'm whipped, it's a big course now. So we extended the tee on that one. Hole 2 had an extension where we put a deeper, longer basket into play. We've done changes like that throughout the course. But what's wonderful about it is because we have 2 or 3 tees on every hole, just about. There's only a couple holes that only have 1 tee. And we have 2 or 3 basket locations on every hole. You can create this array of layouts where you can just have choices like some of you have seen. I've got one on there I call Tin Lid's Top 21. And it's a layout that just has 21 holes I really like playing on that course. And I'm just going to keep changing it, which bugs the people that like to monitor their stats. But I'll just go, now we're going to change it to this. Like, who cares? Sometimes. So we do have 4 basic things, like the 4 base layouts. Hole 8 was a massive change this year. We went from a very sort of a bit stubby sort of uphill par 3 that was kind of really tough and a bit too robust and kind of a tweener in between, as it's known, where now we've turned it into a long par 4 that has some good challenge and a good uphill drive all the way. And it's got, it's a beautiful
Big tree to get around.
Tight landing zones, and then uphill and hard to a tough green. And that one, because we have FPO players and the FA1 and the MPO and MA1 and MP40, hole 8's playing beautifully to either the blue, which is the longest pin location, or white, which is the shorter pin location. They're playing perfectly well for, the respective divisions that are going to be enjoying it. And then across 10, we added a new tee. 11, I just added a bunch of obstacles, which will probably bug a couple people. I don't know if some of you have seen the big hay bales I've put out there. We managed to get, We've done a little bit different than what's typically being done with the hay bales out there, so it'll be a little treat for people. 12 got an extra basket or an extra green. 13 got a new super extended green, which I played today, and it was windy out there today. Today was out-go wind. It's the wind that runs the windmills on the next mountain over. And 13 was playing tougher today. I think I took a 7. So, and 14 got a new green. 15, holy, what a change. 15's stunning now. It was fun hole to play. It was a fun spot to go do disc golf. But now we've got a pretty fun championship-looking disc golf hole that forces people to play certain style. 16,
I just saw you post the video of the rundown of that hole, and it looks great.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't played it yet, Robbie? No?
I haven't been out, unfortunately, since I played a tournament there earlier this year.
All right.
But I can't even remember what tournament that was.
Next year, that's turning into a par 5, though, so there you go.
For people who haven't seen the changes to 15 but are familiar with the way it's sort of the classic layout of 15, what can they expect to see on this new hellhole?
That's a bit rough, but well, the new gold tee is further back, so you end up with a longer start if you're playing in that division that's going to be using the gold tee. So what happened in that property, Oak Grove was an old tree farm. So that entire area is an oak tree plantation for the most part. And they somehow harvested 2 rows of trees straight up the middle of that entire section and left basically a cathedral type look when you get out into the straight lines of the oaks. So you're starting on an oblique angle, throwing sort of across the grid of oaks on an odd angle. So you have to sort of find your path through the trees. But then when you get out there, you're in this sort of, the landscape term is an alley of trees, like just a double row of trees, basically, that extends east to west. I'm really hoping that the sun is just basically will be almost running down that alley for the 15th of September. Like it's starting to move over. It's drifting south. So it's beautiful light in there, and then it ends up on the big meadow in the back, and it's all uphill all the way. So it's not an unreasonable challenge, but it will be a good professional level challenge.
So the original hole, you would sort of play down that sort of tunnel and then turn left.
Yes.
That left turn has mostly been eliminated, and you sort of have more of a 45-degree angle, let's say, out of the woods into the open where the new basket is.
Yeah.
Is it playing as island with OB beyond, or is it just going to be, it's just rough and you don't want to land in there?
It's just meadow behind. We've cut out a big spectator spot. We think that's going to be a fun hole for spectators to be standing.
Oh, yeah.
So the players will be throwing at the spectators that are standing behind the green. So there will, Sean, we're going to need a little bit of guidance there, how to keep people. In case you don't know, Sean's helping out with our volunteer coordination for this tournament. He's been grateful enough to help out with that. So, when I say little things like that, it's about that. But it's a good, clear sight line. People are going to be throwing up towards it. There's no real benefit to powering past the hole a whole bunch. And it's going to be a long throw for the majority of them. When that second throw is upwards of 370, 400 feet, depending on where you land it, going uphill. Not a ton, but probably 6-7 feet of elevation from the start to the end. So it all adds in. Yeah.
Any other changes to the holes that we can expect from for
16,
remaining ones?
17? No. Well,
I was going to say the biggest change that I love from the time that I had previously played it to the last time I was there was new hole 16, where I was the sucker that would always get baited into trying to throw across the OB field and would end up taking like a triple bogey. I think last year at one of your PDG events that you hosted, I think I went into that hole with a 2-shot lead and came out of that hole down by 1. So maybe it's a little personal that I didn't like that hole as much. But I will say that the new change, a little bit further out of the field, and you're now throwing down that wooded corridor. I think that hole is fantastic now. How much of a overtaking was that to adjust that hole that much?
Well, that was a massive chunk of work. I mean, so that came around. We used to have 2 holes that went across the meadow, and then it just became, wow, we're just really using up too much valuable farmland. It's still a working farm, remember. So we're harvesting hay. We've got animals. People are working there. So this ended up coming a bit stemmed from that, but then it just became like such an opportunity. There's such a beautiful section of the property there where you've got this nasty right to left cross slope on the entire fairway. So anything that you don't land perfectly is scooting left into the shrubs and into the trees. And it's narrow and tight. And, the one thing that Oak Goat doesn't have is, tons of wooded holes. So now we've created, it basically is a wooded hole now. And wooded holes don't necessarily need canopy trees. There's only a couple people throwing thumbers all day out there, and he just signed up for the tournament. So, yeah. But other than that, you just need edge condition to create wooded feeling on disc golf holes, and that's easily created out at Oak Goat. There's so that turned into a really beautiful hole that way. Robbie, we have opened up the landing zone for that cross over the field spot. So we are going to be trying to entice some players to go into that. That's the fun design aspect of the hole, was to set it up that there is that landing zone, which is more, you have to drive and land in the perfect spot near the edge of the OB. And then you have an easy birdie chance. Because throwing over the OB there, like, it must have been a bad day. It's still only 250, 300 feet, buddy. Okay. So, to clear the OB, and maybe it's 360 to the blue basket, the long basket, but it's a very fair hole for making it. And, but we are speculating that some of the bigger pros that are coming might just go, forget that. We're just going straight down the gut all the way to the next landing zone, which will get them, you know what I'm thinking? They're sort of short of the white basket. Anyways, we get caught in the weeds here. So
that's absolutely going to be a must watch hole, I think. I remember when I played the doubles event there for Queer Disc Golf, and my partner, who is significantly better than me, he threw a roller accidentally through the gap, that first gap we call the sucker gap. And it rolled through the field and rolled all the way to basically the edge of circle 1 of the long basket to give us then an eagle look, which of course we both missed. But watching pros do this on purpose is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait to watch this. So it's not, the Innova Rip is not just the tournament itself. What are the other sort of side events that non-players, especially spectators, can participate in? Because it's going on for not quite a week, but like pretty close.
It's kind of stretched out. It's gone from a 3-day A-tier to almost 6 days of things going on at the course. So, I mean, a lot of it's disc golf oriented. So you do have to be a bit of a disc golf fan, or like at least willing to come out and watch a bit. I mean, the course will be open for practice play come Monday and Tuesday. The course should be basically 100%, ready. On the Wednesday, more practice, but we have a great disc golf clinic being hosted by Gannon Burr, Alden Harris, Gavin Babcock, and both Robinsons are coming. Ezra and Isaac are current world champion. They're all stepping up to be a part of that clinic on the Wednesday evening, which is good fun. And then on Thursday, last day of practice before the tournament starts, it'll probably be a busy place. We've got Ace Run Pro. Ace Run Productions out of the U.S. is coming up to film this tournament. And one of their feature things that they do is something called an Ace Run Challenge. So I think the same guys that are doing the clinic on the Wednesday evening are doing the Ace Run Challenge.
What is that? Tell us what the Ace Run Challenge is.
Basically, there's a bounty on an ace, and they just put the 5 guys on the tee box, and they do 3 rounds of throwing 5 discs each. And it's just a filmed sort of, let's just get social with the guys, a chance to get a bit looser. No one's really caring, you know, and there'll be some money on the line for that, probably. I don't know. It kind of depends how the sponsorship's been working out for that. Might be a sponsorship spot open for that still, if anybody's interested. Be a sponsor of the Ace Run Challenge. It's a well-viewed item on YouTube as far as disc golf is concerned. And then after that, Philo Braithwaite, Team Innova, he's coming to do a clinic on Thursday evening. He's going to be there for 2 hours, hosting a clinic, he's going to cover basically the bulk of disc golf, like, you know, all the throws, all the shots and stuff. You know, and those are paid for. You know, you got to sign up, pay for the clinics and the like. The Wednesday clinic sold out. Only spots available are for Philos. And then, so that's going to be a fun one. That's starting around 5 p.m., be a couple hours at least. We'll wrap it up on the porch of the Screaming Goat Cafe with some beers and food if people want, and a chance to buy some stuff. Philo's actually already sent, at least then, you know, he's coming for sure when he's already sent me all his Tour Series discs. These are the new Blow T-Birds that he just hot released.
They're hot.
The other day. And then we've got the
Philo Destroyer.
Nice. So that's been fun. And then, so that's Thursday. Friday's just first round of disc golf. We kind of figured the players will probably just want to get settled in, probably go home, have a good dinner, and hang out with some friends and stuff. So we're not planning too much at the property. There will be a Fly Mart that's probably going to be ready to go on Friday at the property. Atlantic Disc Golf is coming out. They're driving in from New Brunswick for the weekend.
Wow.
And they'll be setting up. You know, we got a few other things going on. So we've got a big 40 by 60 foot tent coming out. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember who else is, you know, I don't know. There's a few people coming out, but it'll be a fun little spot. It'll be also a nice spot to hang out. You know, we'll probably have a table and some chairs set out so that the pros, as they come off the course, they could vend some of their own products. We're open. All the pros bring some swag with them. Mm-hmm. I know it's a fun chance for everyone to get, you know, a chance to get some of the stuff they can't get unless they travel to the States for tournaments. And then our big fun day is Saturday at Oak Goat. That'll be second round. That's moving day. It's probably going to be a beautiful day. You know, September's always great out in our parts of Canada. So we got the disc golf. They're teeing off from basically the schedule's same every day. Amateurs tee off in the morning. Pros start going off, you know, mid-morning, and then FPO and MPO follow after that. The final card is probably teeing off around 2:50, 3 o'clock. You know, as you can, you know, kind of setting it up about 3 o'clock tee off. First tee offs are starting around 8, a little bit after 8. So we're not too crazy a schedule, but every 10 minutes, groups are going off. So Saturday afternoon's a ton of fun. After the tournament on Saturday, the Fly Mart is probably the biggest day on Saturday. Peter Bonk, he's coming out. He's going to do his Try to Die clinic again. We hosted one at Oak Goat. It's where you can either bring your disc that you want to die, or you can just buy a package, and we'll sell you a bottom stamped, pure white Innova disc. And we've got 4 or 5 different models to choose from, and people can do their own dies. That was a real successful last tournament we had where Peter did that. So that's a pretty fun thing. We got a Glow Wombat Challenge happening on Saturday night. After the rounds are finished, they're teeing off at 3. pros will probably finish close to 6. We'll have the front Ace Place 18-hole par 3 course. It will be set up for Glowy that night. And we got a Glow Wombat Challenge. Wombat Man himself, Jeff Panis, is going to be up from California. He's making the trip. He's going to be hosting that with, I think, Miles Ladder, local Grow boy. He was also an Innova ambassador. He's going to be working with Jeff to host everyone out there on that Ace Place course and get everyone playing. We've got some prizes. We got a bunch of sponsors helping them out with that. Sandbaggers sponsoring the tournament, the Saturday night fun at Oak Goat. Always got to have a good sandbagger drink every now and then. I think Meep's sending us some prizes for the Wombat Challenge on Saturday night, and then we'll have a few other things. It's mostly everyone gets to go home with a Glow Wombat. I should have brought one of them. Box of them sitting downstairs. Yeah, there's.
Is the Wombat Challenge similar to like one of those things where you can only use that one disc to play, or is it you just get that disc and you can play with whatever?
We're making everyone tee off with the Glow Wombat, and then they can bring their own putter.
Okay.
So the point is to promote the Wombat, which is like a pretty fabulous woodsy sort of approach disc. It'll just do whatever you ask it to, basically, as long as you know how to ask it.
I do not.
Right, but and these are the first Proto Glow Wombats they've ever made. These are the ones coming to Canada. So and we got a new Wombat Challenge stamp. It's Canada themed. So they stepped up out of the California office to make that really nice for us. And so we're excited about that. And then the main thing Saturday night is the Crokinole tournament.
I'm excited for this.
So
I am signed up for this one. This may be the highlight of the entire week. The disc golf with the pros is fine, but really it's the Innova Rip Crokinole tournament.
I think we're just going to skip the disc golf next year because no one's going to want to come to Crokinole. Let's just go hang out and do Crokinole.
Hell yeah.
We're going to take the new bar that Debbie built and put in like 200 Crokinole tables. Tracy Boards would love it. So Tracy Boards is hosting that. If you guys don't know Tracy, Jeremy Tracy is an avid disc golf community. He nearly took down whichever division he was in, MA40 or something, down in at the Foxwood Open. He just missed a
close.
bit.
Yeah, close.
But Jeremy's a real fan of disc golf, so he's bringing a dozen boards out, and we're going to be ripping up the little discs and flicking on the discs there for the evening. That's going to be inside the Screaming Goat Cafe. So food, beers, sandbaggers, everything we need. Ganaraska Beers, Chronicle Brewing, our local brewers that have been supporting disc golf there forever. So that's a cash tournament, a little cash bonus for it. It's only $20 a team to enter. Like, there's really no reason.
No brainer.
I'm basically just giving away all the money that comes in. We'll buy Jeremy a beer and a burger or something for all his effort. And that's Saturday night too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Sunday's just tournament ending day. So that'll be the day to watch, well, hopefully it's a tight match between some of these pros that are coming up, and hopefully it's a tight match with some Canadian who's going to surprise us out there. They're going to be like, I got some home turf advantage, Jamie. So,
but not to go too far past this Crokinole tournament, just there's still a couple spaces left, I believe. And you can watch Isaac Robinson and Ezra Robinson and Gannon Burr and Gavin Babcock try and play Crokinole. My hunch is that they have no idea what they have signed up for, and the epic beatdown that the Canadians are about to drop on them. So this is,
you guys better practice a little bit, because the rumor around town is Gavin Babcock has his own Crokinole board at home and plays.
I have made a horrible mistake and insulted this man.
So you're just gonna.
I regret my decision to enter this tournament. We are going to absolutely get destroyed and humiliated by an American coming up to Canada and playing what should truly be our national sport of Crokinole. Anyway, this is going to be absolutely a hilariously amazing tournament. And as we've mentioned here before on the show, I am truly the world's worst crokinole player. I have never once won a single match, regardless of who I have played with as a partner. We will absolutely, almost guaranteed, come in last place, and we'll have a blast doing it. It's truly the highlight of the event.
You stole the words from my mouth. I was going to say, it's not you going to be laying a beat down on anything, because Jeremy Tracy and Tracy Boards were at the Guelph Royale, and I made the unwise decision to try and play against somebody with Sean as my partner.
Truly a mistake on your part.
It did not go well, and then I played against Sean, and it continued to not go well for him. So, he won't be doing anything in the crokinole tournament. But
not only have I never won a single,
we'll see.
I have never won a single round of crokinole, let alone a match. I'm truly a shockingly terrible crokinole player.
Maybe you should just come over and borrow my crokinole board for a week, buddy.
No, it would somehow end up on fire, I'm sure. Just out of protest for having me play on it.
Anyway, so, basically we just need a lot of people to come out, come hang out, come watch the pros. The real goal, yes, I'm doing this because there's great value in having so much promotional value associated with this project, Goat Disc Golf and stuff. But who's kidding you? We need the Pro Tour to come to Canada.
We absolutely.
And they need to come permanently. And yes, I would absolutely love them to come to Goat every year for a decade. But that's probably not a reasonable expectation. But we need to show them that, hey, you got to come to the Toronto area every year at this time of the year. Sandwich a tournament permanently between D-Glow and Green Mountain Championship. And it's such a tight package of 3 events in a row at the end of the year. Like, it would just work. So, we're really hoping. So to help make that happen, well, we need spectators. We need fans. We need for the Disc Golf Pro Tour to go and watch the video coverage afterwards by Ace Run Pro and go, oh, maybe we should have sent someone up there, right? Like, we should have seen what this is really about and seen whether this community has the potential to host a Pro Tour event consistently. And given the amount of help, the amount of volunteers, the people that are stepping up, all our sponsors, like, we've got sponsors for this event. Northumberland Tourism, Meep Meep. What do I got? I work for Innova, and Clash Discs is helping out. Like, they've bought a whole sponsorship from us and sent us a bunch of discs to give away as prizes or help promote the event and stuff. Atlantic Disc Golf is coming out. Local Ford dealership. There's just tons of sponsors. The PDGA steps up again every year with these big events. So it really is a chance, a chance for us to showcase, a chance for us to host these people a little bit. I know there's some people stepping up to be caddies and helping out and volunteering. And
we've got a great list of volunteers so far.
Oh, and
we can still use a few more if people want to sign up. I'll put the registration link in the show notes. But we've got a great turnout so far.
Yeah. So, and we got, if you're still on the fence about buying tickets, everyone's, we got tickets for sales already.
Nice.
And every ticket's only $20, and you get a free round of disc golf and Goat with it. Like, so it's costing you $7-8 to go.
Steal.
$7-8 to come and watch the Pro Tour, basically.
Yeah.
And if you don't play disc golf, just give it to a buddy that does, and you can, they'll think you're generous. I've already started filling out the player tags.
Ooh.
I got there. I don't know. Anyways, we're filling them out. I did
Gannon's
tonight. So
There you go.
I got one for Paige Pierce in there.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
FPO crowds coming up. There's a bunch of hidden sort of FPO talent coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, they aren't, so we got Alexis, she works for College Disc Golf. She's helping run that program. So, it's all good fun, and a few others. So I think the FPO field isn't as large as we would ideally have, but we still got, 16, 15 players coming up. And there's room for a couple more. In the FPO, there's still a couple tournament spots. I don't know. You guys that have run tournaments, people are bailing every day towards the end of a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You can, so
I'm excited to see friend of the show and newly minted professional Rebecca Dawn challenge this course and challenge Paige Pierce on it. Local girl. Congrats to her on taking her first cash at the CCR Open last weekend.
Yeah, the Don family is quite the clan of disc golfers.
Oh yes,
yeah, you
absolutely.
know, that family's spread out. You're naming Dons, but you gotta throw in the boss camps into that crowd, and you know, we've got a dynasty for disc golf in Ontario.
They're coming to the Rip and they're looking to represent.
Yeah, we've got multiple family members coming out to play. You know, and the Don family is also building a great disc golf course up in their community. They're doing a ton of work up in, you know, they live up near Kingston, and they're working on a big course and probably be hosting an event soon up that way, which
that's exciting.
Nice.
A bit of a black hole for disc golf up there. I've been working on a project in Kingston for, you know, a couple of years now, though. They've been planning one down at the at Bell Park, the disc golf course, but that's, you know, that project's been held up a bit. So hopefully that'll come back online soon. But that's still just going to be a smaller urban, you know, 9 or 18 hole layout in there.
That's great.
But anyways, yep, the Dons, can't wait I want to see Rebecca win something up here. I mean, again,
Absolutely. We've mentioned a few other of the top pros that are going to be up here. We've mentioned a bunch of their names. Who are some others that we're going to be expecting coming up here? Is there anybody that you're particularly excited to see signed up? I mean, obviously having the back-to-back world champion at your event is obviously really cool. Anything else in sort of that realm? And then also, I want to get the Darrell Bankus tournament prediction. Who is going to be in the running? I know there's some obvious names that you can throw out in terms of just rating, and we have the best player in the world is going to be there. So you can go chalk with it if you want, or if you want to get a little spicy with a little more lesser known name, I'll leave that in your hands.
Well, I mean, the players coming are great. I mean, we still got, you know, a bunch of Team Innova players, you know, Jeremy Coling, Philo's coming. Today, Cal Lundquist signed up. You know,
Nice.
We've saved a couple touring pro spots. He was nice enough, sent an email and said, "Hey, I'd like to come up and play." So it's like,
You're in.
Let's go. You know, skitter scatters, practice some crokinole. I told him. You're going to be expected to play Saturday night, okay? I mean, there's the entire crew. You got Luke Taylor's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like
I think we are taking slight credit for that here on Missed Mando, because I believe when we asked him about going up to the Rip, he said that he was in another tournament that weekend. But we were persistent about it, and lo and behold, he's there. So, you know, Missed Mando coming through for you, Darrell.
Oh, I appreciate that, because, you know, I work a lot of disc golf. You guys know how hard I work. You know, how often I don't get to watch as much disc golf as I like. So I'm like scrolling through the list of players that are coming. I'm like, who's Luke? Who's Luke? I don't know who Luke is. And I go and look at his rating. I then readjust everything based on rating. I'm like, 1036? Like, well, how could I not know, you know? And
He's
just
18.
I don't get to watch as much. I pay my dues to the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I watch one episode of Summer or something, but
he is charging. Oh, he absolutely could be a dark horse on this course, this event.
And also, I think there's probably just a great chunk of incentive for him to come up and win. Like, It's just, you know, it's a fun one. It's a little off the track. There's not the expectation to perform. It'll just be a bonus if he does. So might be a nice relaxed environment. Maybe he likes maybe he likes farm life. Maybe he likes goats and alpacas. He's going to feel right at home or something. Like, it's, the goats are going to be a comfy course. We all know none of these players are going to get beat up at the goats. They're coming here. It's a very predictable course. You have to make some shots, but it's fair. It's predictable. It's in front of you what you're expected to do. You know, there aren't mystery lines that someone's going to figure out and, you know, get a 2-stroke advantage or something. You know, I'm sure Gannonbur's going to find something to bomb over everything else and go, here's how you do it.
The potential on hole one is for some truly insanely epic throws off the tee.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Well, that's why I put the tee there.
It's
I'm
a
like,
great spot.
this is just going to look good on TV.
Yeah.
You know, as long as the guys are hiding in the woods
Yeah.
and wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
So
Ace running hole one, basically.
I'm thinking someone's going to try the hyzer line on 7. Backhand.
Yeah.
hyzer.
Yeah. It's entirely possible. Yeah.
I think there's a line there. Someone tried it the other day that, doesn't quite have the cannon.
Mhm.
So it was like, oh, that was close. So,
Someone with that arm can actually totally take it down.
yeah, it could just be a straight up. We're still excited to see how far up the hill they'll throw on 8.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking
Hole 5 over the top, but try not to go OB long. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we cut the grass out today.
Oh, that's good. We'll find the discs that.
Yeah,
Leave
I
it
found mine that I lost in the grass. It was only 6 feet short in the OB, but only by 6 feet. So I can do it and wait for my chance.
Just for anybody that is still on the fence about potentially coming out and spectating for this event, just a little teaser about some other names that you might be able to expect. Some that we've mentioned already, but we've also got Drew Gibson, Sullivan Tipton, Zach Arlinghouse, Randon Lotta, Jared Stoll, Carter Aarons on the MPO side. FPO, of course, we've got Paige Pierce, Raven Klein. We've got the local Chantel Badinsky looking to represent Canada. And in MP40, of course, we've got Philo Brathwaite signed up as well. And then, if you really want to come out and watch Robbie Holden play in MA1, I always welcome fans to come out. I don't think I have quite as many as some of those other guys, but, I'll have an early tee time for any of the Robbie Holden fans that want to come out.
Yeah, and those Prodigy players, they all signed up early. I've got all the discs available for sale in the Pro Shop. I got
Awesome.
Edgar discs, Isaac discs, and Chantel discs in the Pro Shop, ready to be purchased. You guys can get them signed, have some fun, support the players.
Mm-hmm. Let's show them that Ontario can turn out for a big event and get them talking about how great this event was and how much they want to come back because they received so much support when they were here.
That's ideally it.
Yeah.
There's some fun. We got our tournament stamp disc came in, so they're looking good.
Ooh, it's hot.
What was that coming out anyway? There we go. Something.
Yeah.
The new Star Racer. Pretty hot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
What division you in, Robbie? I think you might get one of those.
I'm MA1.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll be getting one of those. So
Nice.
Yeah, I've been throwing it. It's a great disc. Again, I'm like, really? Another good disc coming out of Innova? To replace a couple other things in my bags, so.
Mm-hmm.
For spectators who do come out to watch this absolutely top tier talent, what do you think are some of the prime viewing spots on the course for them to spectate from? I think the sort of the top of the hill at the 110 tee areas, I think are pretty good, but what might be some other sleeper locations that people will be able to see some great action?
Where is it going to be fun to watch things going on? Well, I think around the back of 18, the 18th green, we've cut out the grass behind it. We're hoping a bunch of people just bring their lawn chairs, set up out there, have a good time. It's going to be a beautiful spot. Sun's behind you, so you won't get too baked. Walking down and walking across the big meadow and getting out to 15 is going to be fun. I think there's going to be real fun to watch 14. There's a spot on 14 where I think you're going to be able to stand around and watch the big throws across the meadow, which could be rather tragic to watch, which, we're all kind of suckers for the tragic in disc golf. And you'll be able to watch that. But if you stand by the trees on 14, you're going to be able to see the drives come in and see them shoot towards the basket. And the 14 green is really pretty lovely. It's going to be a great course for spectating. I mean, we have extra space all the way around. We've got mowed paths, and there's space between disc golf holes. you go to a lot of courses and there's no space. Like the holes are almost against each other sometimes, cutting back and forth. It's like, I can barely, like, there's only a couple holes, like 6 and 7, where you get shared fairways almost, and that's only for part of the hole at that. So there's lots of space for spectators to roam around the property. Bring your lawn chairs, plan to hang out. I think it's going to be pretty fun just out of the back of the Fly Mart tent. Top of the hill right there. You'll be able to watch
9
getting off. And coming up the hill on 8 is going to be a great vantage point up there on 8 behind the 9th tee. I bet you I should probably mow that little section out there now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to mow that tomorrow.
Figuring out things on the spot. Look at this. Darrell's a
We got a
professional.
little standing zone up there. So
Whatever can be done to improve the spectator experience, Darrell is on it.
Yeah, so we'll have lots of space in there because that'd be a great spot to watch them try and fire it up that hill and watch some rollaways and stuff. So, and who's kidding you? Hole 3 is going to be just a comedy to watch, like the double Mando from the back blocks.
Yep.
You don't want to be mean, but that's just might be it's just fun to see. Hey, they're mortal. Maybe someone will hit the thing really hard or not, right? So we're debating whether that should be the ace run challenge hole.
I was going to ask.
I was just about to say, I hope that we see an ace smashed on that in the tournament.
Yeah, that's. I think that could be a fun spot to choose. I think it could film well.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun back there. I don't know. We're debating. I'm going to let the guys from Ace Run Pro decide. They're going to be out on. They'll probably be here Monday or Tuesday.
And when will that be filming?
That's Thursday afternoon before Philo's clinic. So they're probably going to start filming that around 4. We'd love to have spectators out for that. I mean, it's always fun to have people cheering on when they get close for an ace. It'll be fun.
Well, yeah.
And it's a big crew of guys playing. Like we're going to want to watch these players go. I expect the course will be busy with spectators. I mean, with players practicing. So,
and that would be free to come to watch.
It's free on Thursday. We just want to watch.
Sweet.
Go buy some beer. Buy a beer. Go in. It is a licensed disc golf course, so we will be selling beers on the course. It's so it'll be fun that way.
And a 3-day spectator pass is only $40, if I remember.
$40.
Right? So basically, it's buy 2 days, you get the third one free.
Yep, and
you still get a bargain.
You still get the free disc golf days.
Yeah,
Absolute steal.
Absolute steal.
I know, regardless of myself playing in the event, I will be doing lots and lots of spectating. I had the idea of maybe setting up around 18 to see players finish off and try and get maybe some interactions with players coming off. Maybe not always the best idea if someone's coming off after a tough round. They might not want to see my face first thing right as they're getting off the course. I can imagine prettier things to see as you're coming off the course. But regardless, it is going to be a great experience out there for fans. And I personally cannot. I was signed up before this was known as a Q series and before all the pros were signed up, and then it just kept getting more and more exciting. And it's got to be the tournament I'm most excited for this year, Darrell. So I can't wait to be out there.
Well, we should talk about maybe. I'd like some input from you guys about what an interview type spot might work. Maybe there's a spot under the Fly Mart tent where we can just set up a couple Muskoka chairs or something, or a bench, and you guys can comfortably sit down and talk to people.
We would absolutely love the opportunity.
Well, you're going to be one of the lucky people that's playing for one of the bag tags.
Oh, here we go.
So
Yeah.
all the AMs will be playing for tags all weekend long.
Nice.
And tags by division. So, and we're going to hand those out on Saturday morning after the first round by rank.
Nice.
And then you're expected to, come on, be sociable.
To fight for it.
Go find the person who has the tag you should have.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
If I move up spots and I'm supposed to get a higher tag, you can bet your butt I'll be hunting that person down for my tag.
We'll decide. We might make it a full tag shuffle every day so that you're obliged to go and find the person that beat you by 3 strokes or something, or you know, you can't hold on. You can't take it home and forget this one. This is, you know, hopefully it represents what's done at the end. So the goat towel made all these for us.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, that's been their support of this tournament. They've been really nice. So, well, kind of fun.
Greg is awesome. I have one kind of, I guess, fun question that I want to ask you before we start to wrap things up. The pros and the AMs will be playing the same layout. MPO and MA1 playing the same layout. FPO and FA1 playing the same layout. What do you think over-under will be the spread of total strokes between the MPO champion and the MA1 champion by the end of this event?
MPO to MA1?
Yeah. And then I guess FPO to FA1 as well, if you want to do that as well. The AM divisions playing the same layouts as the pros.
Okay. Hopefully I answered what you're asking me here. I'm expecting, if it was windy like today, I'm thinking the best scores out there are in that -12 range. So, if you average that over 3 days, you're doing a -30, -28, -32, whatever, right?
So you're thinking some big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, these are
scoreable
players.
Yep.
They're going to come and rip it up. That's the whole point, right? Like, you know,
you pitch and putt for them.
Like yeah. You know, I think there's 12 birdieable holes out there for them. No problem. And, but the MA1 in comparison should be doing -4s, -5s. So I think there's at least a 7-8 stroke difference per round.
In each round.
I don't think it gets much better. Like I went out there today and I'm throwing half decently and I shot a +9 or something.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's a very, very tough course. I think even at Lake Ontario Open, I believe it was a small MPO field, but 2 very talented players, Calvin Rorda and Carter Yeomans, and I believe they both shot over par on that day. I'm not sure what the weather was like or anything like that, but I believe they both shot like it was 1 over and 2 over, something like that. And those are some talented local pros too.
All right, maybe I'm a little wrong there. Maybe it's going to be.
Maybe the weather was super tough on that day. I'm not sure. I unfortunately wasn't there, but
of course, I'm thinking like, yeah, the MA1s. Yeah, maybe there's going to be +2s and +3s. So,
well, I don't expect myself to thrill you too much while I'm out there, Darrell. Although I thought the same thing going into Foxwood, and I kind of really surprised myself there. But one thing I just kind of had this question kind of pop into my head. You're a talented disc golfer in your own right, but you're currently 934 rated, and you're designing a course that you want to attract and challenge the best players in the world. How do you kind of tackle that difference of like you're looking at a course as like what you might think is hard, whereas someone like Gannon Burr might not think that's hard? Do you bring in other pros for their input and stuff like that? How do you kind of tackle to try and really push the difficulty of the course?
I mean, I've been bugging a lot of people for the last year about this. Like, yeah, there's quite a few players that I just keep going. Just let me know. Like, there's a reason we changed hole 5 just recently. I had tried to create something different there, and there's another basket location deep in the woods, which we use for the ace place anyway, so it's good to have. And I was like, that's going to work nice as a par 4 to that instead of the usual par 5 out to the road. And then like a couple guys just went out and went, hey, Darrell, we broke it. Like, all you got to do is do this and do this. And I'm like, well, that's boring. I don't want that to be what goes on. So, you know, I'm listening to everyone. I mean, I've said it for a long time. Designing disc golf courses is such a teeny weeny little part of the job. It's facilitating disc golf courses. That's the big project.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't take that long to design a course, but build it, convince the people to build it, like, and then finance it and fund it and then make it grow and make it turn into a course you can host the rip at. You know, this isn't this isn't simply a design project you can do on paper and then sort of hand off. Like it just sort of just keeps going and evolving. So, I mean, Thomas Gilbert came out last fall, and was it in the fall or was it spring? Probably both. I think he came twice. And it was just, I went, come on, let's just go play. I need to pick your brain. I can't throw as far as you anymore. I can pretend I know roughly what it's going to be, but it's not. So I'm actually hoping I can bug a bunch of these guys that are coming and go, okay, come on, let's go out. Let's go hop in the golf cart or go out in the mule, the side by side. I want 2 or 3 of you to tell me what we should change, where you see something an opportunity that I've missed because you can throw differently. Like, you got to remember, Oak Goat has 200 acres. Our course covers 36 of it. A bunch of it can't be used, but there's a lot of land back there that's not being touched yet. So we can stretch holes out. I specifically spaced the course out in a way. Like, hole 2 could turn into a par 4. Like, there's enough landscaping back in there. So, yeah, hopefully it will. So I've just been listening to a lot of people, bug people. I've been lucky enough to travel to a lot of big courses too. So I've seen enough. I pay attention. It's my job. It's what I do professionally is design courses. So I actually, when I'm watching the thing on tour, I'm watching and going, so why can't I read that course? Why can't I understand why that's visible? Some of the complaints of the past weekend, you couldn't tell whether a disc was inbounds or out of bounds if you were watching it on coverage. And that has to do with differential grass growth and stuff, which they perhaps didn't have the freedom to encourage to happen. While I'm on a farm, I can have, there's no doubt if you're off the fairway at Oak Goat.
Yeah, pretty much carte blanche.
Yeah. And so, you've got a lot of luck and got a perfect property owners that have trusted me to sort of almost just go out there and do what I want as long as it's, not unreasonable. And so anyways, there's lots of opportunities and I'm hoping we get a lot of input from this because, it's not a big market for pro disc golf courses, but it is a valuable thing that people want to go and see and try. There just aren't that many people around that can go and play the big gold layout, but we all played it today and had a great time. And sure, shoot our +8s and +9 and a +22 or somebody was with me or so, maybe more. But it doesn't care. It's just going to get some exercise, throwing discs and having a laugh.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, it's just a couple of the throws end up being redundant if you don't throw that far.
It's going to, I'm expecting it to beat me up quite heavily, but I'm going to have an absolute blast regardless while I'm out there on a beautiful property playing this amazing game that we all love so much.
I'm glad you have that good attitude about it because I was a little concerned about not creating a separate MA1 and FA1 layout. But I'm like, when are these when are these MA1 and FA1 players going to get the opportunity to go, oh, Gannon shot that and I shot this.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
oh yeah,
Jeremy Coley shot that and I shot this and be like, oh, okay, I guess I got some work. It'll be a humbling thing to see the difference between the scores and might even be a bit inspiring for some of them to go, heck,
exactly.
I'm only 6 strokes behind whatever his name is or whatever her name is.
Yep.
And, there's some hope in my game. Maybe I have a chance if I just dig a little deeper and go to putting league all winter. So
humbling was the exact word that I was going to use. At least from my perspective, it's going to be it's going to be fun coming off the course, especially after day 3 and realizing that over the course of 3 days, I shot like 50 strokes or 50 shots more than Gannon Burr is going to be quite the interesting thought experiment. But like my good friend Sean Galbraith always says, why show up and play less golf?
Get your money's worth.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I didn't drive all that way to throw fewer times.
Yeah. That'd be the new marketing strategy. We're going to charge you by the shot.
There we go. The better you are, the cheaper it gets.
I've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Before we
Well,
let
Darrell,
you go,
we have had you. Oh, sorry, go away.
go ahead. I was going to say, before we let you go, any other shout outs or final words you want to give?
Well, I mean, get a shout out to Innova. You know, they're stepping up. I mean, they're really helping out a ton with this, with player packs and, you know, adding cash for the event and all this stuff that's needed. I mean, we've had a couple other great sponsors. A great consulting firm in Peterborough, Cambium Environmental. They've stepped up and they're paying for the, you know, a bunch of the added cash for the FPO and the MPO division. And, yeah, you know, a lot of guys there play disc golf. It's, you know, they're familiar with Ultimate Frisbee, but it's really just out of the goodness of their heart that they just went, we realize we got to support this event this year. You know, that's really what it's about. Like, maybe next year you guys will get a bigger corporate sponsor, but this is the year we can come in and our cash will actually make a difference. Northumberland Tourism is also helping out by, you know, they're helping support with all kinds of with the ad space they're purchasing through the coverage of Ace Run Pro. So, you know, even our local Play It Again Sports is stepping up. You know, he's helping out, you know, offering what he can. He runs a great business down there. Lee's an active member of my disc golf community. It was Lee I played with today. And so tons of great companies stepping up. It was quite joyful, some of the sponsors that stepped in. And, you know, really sort of, you know, it gets a little bit in the heart when someone finally steps up and goes, here, Darrell, we know you need some money, you know, and because I hate asking for it. You know, that's the reason I've run commercial disc golf courses. I'm like, this should be a paid thing. So anyways, that's it, I think.
Well, thank you for so much for joining us tonight here on the show. We're very excited to come out and Robbie to play the event and to spectate and just see the caliber of players that we're going to have at this event absolutely humiliate you as a course designer, and just absolutely demolish this incredible course that you've put together. And I couldn't be happier to have a small part in helping out and watch this whole thing unfold. And we really appreciate having you here on the show tonight to tell us all about it. And that's it for Darrell Bankus here on the show, and we will be right back on Miss Mando.
Welcome back to Missed Mando. Thank you so much to Darrell for joining us for an interview. Great talk with Darrell, and I am so pumped to be at the Innova Rip coming up. Galen, unfortunately, another interview that you had to miss out on, but it was a great chat with Darrell. Hey, Sean.
Really informative and fun chat with Darrell. Love hearing all about the changes that have gone on at the GOAT. I mean, I've been there, walked the course with Darrell in preparation for the event, and just for everybody to see how much of a monster this course now is, it's going to be a blast to watch the pros rip it up with basically probably like a putter.
Yeah, having to play the same layout as MPOs for myself in MA1 is going to be
humbling.
It's going to be very humbling when Gannon Burr and those top pros beat me by 50 total strokes over 3 rounds. That is going to be a humbling experience, but it's going to be a great experience being out there. All those.
Are we assuming it's going to be only 50? Because that seems a little generous. I don't.
Or that it'll take 3 rounds to do it.
Oh, it could just be 50 in the first round.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope I don't play that bad, but you never know. They do call me Roller Coaster Robbie for a reason, so I live up to that
As
sometimes.
Sorry, to quote Deadpool, do they, or did you just really, really want them to?
I didn't give. This was not a self-appointed nickname. Okay. The real superstars don't give themselves their nickname. It's assigned for them. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Now that I'm a superstar, nor that would be a superstar's nickname, because I think if I was a superstar, I wouldn't really be a roller coaster. But Anyways, speaking of top pros that we are going to have up here in Ontario coming up soon for the Innova RIP, a bunch of the top pros, and by a bunch, I mean all of the top pros, were just competing in the Disc Golf World Championships. And let's throw it over to you, Shawnee G, to talk a little bit about Worlds.
A couple weekends ago saw the highly anticipated PDGA Pro World Championships take over New London Tech and Ivy Hills disc golf courses down in Virginia. And we were fortunate to have had Thomas Gilbert on for a special preview episode just before it started and get us hyped for the show. And what a show it was. 5 rounds, of which 3 were at the merciless rollaway Ivy Hills, and 2 were at the yellow jacket infested New London Tech. This event was wild in so many ways. There's an old saying that no good plan survives first contact with the enemy, and at this event, the enemy was OB and Hazard. These courses, especially Ivy Hills, were absolutely relentless in generating penalty strokes for OB and Hazard. In the FPO division, for example, if you just look at the top 10 finishing players, i.e. the best of the tournament, they carded a total of 212 OB penalty strokes over the tournament. The MPO division, the top 10, they carded 151 OB strokes. And these stats don't even include the hazard penalties. I am curious if there has ever been a Worlds or other Elite Series or Major that is even remotely comparable to that amount of unforced penalty stroke taking. But over in FPO, after the end of round 2, it was really a 3-woman battle between Kat Murch, Evelina Salonen, and Holland Handley. There were a few other players dancing around the top of the division. Natalie Ryan made a charge. So did Kristen Tatar. She was down in 12th place after the second round and just absolutely did her Kristen thing and put on a major push towards the end of the event. Came up short. Unfortunately, so did Holland. She came in with a 1-stroke lead on Evelina and 5 strokes on Kat, but unfortunately just couldn't keep it clean, carding a whopping 14 OB and hazard strokes over the final round and finished 4th. Kat Murch, on the other hand, she had a great first half of the finals. She went -6 through 10 at Ivy. And then it sort of diverged. Kat that went +4 for the rest of the round, including 6 OB, and Evelina, on the other hand, went even over the back half of the course, carding only 2 OB. And when the dust settled, it was Evelina holding that booze jug of a trophy to claim her very first world title. And the celebration was just absolutely amazing at the 18th. All of her friends coming there to shower her with champagne. Absolutely loved to see it, and the smile on her face was wonderful. Over at MPO, it was yet again in this season a much less dramatic division to watch. Isaac Robinson, he went wire to wire and back to back, never finishing a round out of first place to claim his 2nd consecutive world title. Not without people pushing him, of course. In round 1, Anthony Barella thought he would take a run at it and actually, tied him at the end of the round. And then basically collapsed in round 2 and was never to be heard from again. In round 2, it was Adam Hammis. He thought he was making the charge. And then he went bye-bye. In round 3, it was Joey Bucket's turn to give it a go, and he suffered the same fate as the rest in round 4. And in round 4, it was Nicholas Antala finishing 3 back of Isaac, but unfortunately, he just didn't have enough in the tank to take down Isaac, who was just a man on a mission. Nicholas ended up finishing second for the 6th time this season. And in the end, it was, as I said, Isaac Robinson who took it down, hosted the jug, and is now back-to-back world champion. I'm going to throw it over to Robbie first to see what are some interesting stats and facts that you pulled out.
So yeah, there's a couple that I have pulled out from the Worlds, starting in over on the FPO side. Evelina becomes the first Finnish world champion in FPO or MPO. For such a strong disc golf loving nation, that is huge for them. I saw that Evelina was making front page news in Finland, in not just sporting outlets, but like national newspapers and stuff like that, which is incredibly awesome. And just to kind of piggyback on something that Sean said in the breakdown, it was just so cool to see the reaction from all of her competitors and the fans around on hole 18 when she tapped out that final putt. And then in her post-round interview, when she gave a message to her grandparents who she said they don't speak English, so she turned to the camera and gave them a message in Finnish while holding back some emotions. I mean, I started to tear up a little bit watching that. It was a beautiful scene. And I mean, Evelina just seems like one of the happiest people on tour. Like, she's just always smiling and just seems like such an awesome person. So kudos to her. And in FPO still, in FPO majors in the 2020s so far, 8 have been won by Europeans and 7 have been won by Americans. Obviously a completely different stat on the MPO side, but on the FPO side, I think it is very clear that we are in an era of European dominance, and out of the era of pure American domination. Of course, Krista Tatar leading the way in those major titles for the European side, but Paige Pierce still has some major titles in the 2010s for the US as well. So we'll see how that keeps going, but I'm willing to bet that the Europeans keep padding those stats in years to come on the FPO side. Evelina, she was so mind-blowingly dominant off the tee. She went an insane plus 41 strokes gained tee to green, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. I don't think I've ever seen a number that high for strokes gained tee to green. The next closest in the field was Heidi Leine, who was plus 28 strokes gained tee to green, which is still incredibly impressive, but is a full 13 strokes back of Evelina in that stat. And the fact that this wasn't a complete blowout win for Evelina just really shows how much more work she needs inside the circle, because she was, I believe, bottom 5 in putting stats, and was still able to take down a world title, just showing how dominant she is at throwing a disc. If she just was able to putt at the average in the FPO division, she might not ever lose. It would be insane. But over on the MPO side now, Isaac, he becomes the first back-to-back MPO world champion since Ricky Wysocki in 2016 and 2017. And he also becomes the 4th MPO wire-to-wire victory ever at Worlds, joining Barry Schultz in 2004, Paul Macbeth in 2013, and Ricky Wysocki in 2016. That is a mind-bogglingly elite list of athletes in disc golf right there. And a couple of shout-outs as well. Shout out to friend of the show, Luke Taylor, who finished in 4th in the MPO field. Unbelievable showing. He was on lead card for the final 2 rounds. He hit some insane highlight putts, including a huge one on the crazy hole 14 that gave so many pros nightmares through the tournament. Hit a huge putt on that one in the final round. Awesome for Luke. Congrats out there, man. And also big shout out to friend of the pod, Natalie Ryan, who was able to take 5th in FPO. A great showing. from Natalie getting on lead card for a bunch of those rounds. And also friend of the pod, Rebecca Cox, finished in 12th as well. Galen, let's throw it over to you, my friend, and let's talk about some of our picks.
Let's absolutely do it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about a round of picks where Robbie didn't dominate as he usually does.
I came so
we did this a little bit differently this time. We each had an MPO pick and an FPO pick, and an MPO and FPO dark horse each. I believe it was outside of the top 10 in performance on the season. That was our criteria. So we'll run through all 4 picks for each of the 3 of us here. So Robbie, I'm sure for those of us that have been on the pod or listening to it this season, surprise to Colin Hanley as his choice in FPO, and took as his first overall pick at MPO Ricky Wysocki, and on the dark horse side had Anakin Sten and Anthony Barella, who was scaring the crap out of Sean and I with his performance in round 1, and then came back to earth a little bit. So the overall performances were 4th for Holland, 12th, tied 12th for Anakin, and then 6th for Ricky, and 13th for AB. Average that all out, do some math. You've got 8.75 for your average, including the overall picks and dark horses, which, pretty freaking good, dude. Sean, meanwhile, took Owen Scoggins as his lead pick and Rebecca Cox as his dark horse in FPO, and Gannon Burr and Simon Wazat for his main pick and oh my god, guys, dark horse pick respectively. On the MPO side, Owen, I don't know if we've had any stats like this season. Owen and Rebecca both T12, Gannon and Simon both T7. So his MPO and FPO lead picks and dark horses, same score at the end of it. So Sean averaging 9.5, and shout out me for easily the best picks of Worlds. I took Kristen Tatar as my main choice in FPO and Calvin in MPO, and then Natalie Ryan, and thanks to you guys for giving me the ability to take her. I was like, hey, she's 10th. Will you give me a little bit of grace here? And you did. I knew she was going to do well, so appreciate the leg up there with that choice, Natalie Ryan and Eagle McMahon as my dark horses. And I'm looking now, I just copy and pasted in our show notes from the notes from last episode. And after Sean had talked about Eagle playing in the distance competition and only throwing 492, I wrote, Kristen Tatar, Calvin Heimberg, Natalie Ryan, and Eagle McShort Thrower as my 4 picks. And I had Kristen in 3rd, Calvin T4, Natalie in 5th, and Eagle in 3rd. So average 3.75. Was pretty happy with those picks, and I think honestly all of us to have 2 dark horses each and no pick for anybody outside of the top 13 in a tournament of the scope of Worlds was pretty crazy. And last thing I'll say is I know I alluded to doing a little bit of a recap at some point of our performance on the season. That's still coming. Just give me a second. We'll get there. Any comments on the picks, fellas, or should we go to our Pro Tour preview?
I'm just glad to see that I was very wrong about Eagle McMahon. It is really nice to see him do so incredibly well. And hopefully he's moved past his health and new bag challenges and is back to his dominant self. Coming into Deglo, where he's made some amazing shots last year. I would love to see him put on a show again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to add there, Robbie?
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, it's impressive that all of us, our averages were under 10. So we were averaging in the top 10 across 4 picks. That is pretty darn good. And Galen, you're the only one who had one of your dark horses outperforming one of your main picks, which is cool. And I just agree. It's good to see Eagle out and having a good performance again, because I mean, when I was first getting into disc golf, the way that Gannon Burr has talked about now. Maybe not quite as much because Gannon is just having an absolutely insane season right now. But like Gannonburg last year with all the hype of a young player and knowing all the talent and whatnot, that was the hype for Eagle when I was first coming into the sport. And he had just won like GBO when it was a national tour. I think he won like 2 national tours in the same year, and won like Kona Piste or something like that to get a major win. So he was that up and comer back then, and of course has unfortunately been derailed by some injuries. But hopefully that is all in the past, and we are back to seeing the crazy shots that we're used to seeing out of Eagle McMahon. And somebody just reposted recently the shot from, I think it was like 2 years ago, where he's like straddling a guardrail and then throws a 450-foot sidearm uphill onto a tiny little green. It's one of the craziest, most impressive shots I've ever seen in disc golf. And then, of course, when he parked the like 750-foot par 4, and parked it, like just absolutely insane. So I am certainly hoping for more solid Eagle McMahon performances coming, and hopefully we get that. But that is it for me. So Shawnee G, if there's nothing else from you for Worlds, I think we can send it over to Galen to jump into some Pro Tour previews, and we've got only one coming up.
Yeah, and the only thing that I'll just add there really briefly is, we're talking about a world where, if Evelina can maybe like clean up her putting a little bit, like how does she lose? I didn't get to watch the distance comp, so I don't know if Eagle posting a 492 was, him not being at 100%, or if it was him not hitting the fairway on that distance competition, or it'd be like a little bit of both. But a world where Eagle in a distance competition throws 492 as his furthest throw, and then finishes third in Worlds, that is scary. I don't want to play against an Eagle man who's throwing the distance shots he was throwing 2 seasons ago, and finishing third in Worlds without that distance. That's scary. Anyway, to move off of Worlds, the DGPT is on the move from the temperate, deciduous forests of Virginia to the Great Lakes of Michigan. I don't know. I wanted to make something work there, and I couldn't come up with anything. So into the Great Lakes we go. And Eagle promises plenty of excitement this year, as per usual, with 108 of the top male pros and 48 top females ready to duke it out at the iconic toboggan. Last year, it was Simon Lizotte taking it down on the men's side with a 3-stroke margin over Eagle McMahon. Again, Eagle's name coming up, and 5 strokes over third place Chris Dickerson. And on the FPO side, we had Owen Scoggins narrowly eking out a win over Ella Hansen, with Cat Merch finishing a few strokes back in third place. So both Simon and Owen will be back this year to duke it out against stacked fields, including two-time world champions, Isaac Robinson, the newly minted reigning and back-to-back world champion, and Kristen Tatar, the back-to-back but no longer reigning world champion FPO. And also present will be just about every top pro on both sides of the field. Gannon, Ricky, Calvin, Paul, the Robinsons, Dickerson, Own Dog, Big Money Missy, Holland, Haley King, friends of the pod, Natalie Ryan, Rebecca Cox, the list goes on. This year is going to bring a ton of intrigue at D-Glow, some course updates, concrete tee pads, anyone, and literally everyone's favorite disc golfer, Bert Kreischer, is going to be there. So I'm jacked up. Let's go to Robbie first, and then Sean. If you have any comments, I'm happy to hear them. Otherwise, if you want to hop straight to picks, it's all good. Robbie, what do you like and who do you like this year at D-Glow?
Yeah, I'm pumped for D-Glow. This is always a great tournament. I'm always just reminded of Macbeth's 18 under round here, which was just absolutely mind-boggling. And some of the photos that I see every year coming out of this, where it really shows the elevation of these holes, and you see somebody that looks like they're, standing upright on a hill, but the hill in front of them is at an angle like this or something like that. Just insane elevation. It is always so much fun to watch. And for my picks, who do I like? Well, there is a stacked field here. There are so many names to pick from, but I'm going to go with Gannonburg in MPO. I think Pretty safe choice this season. Nothing flashy there. I do think, however, that him coming off of not winning at Worlds, something that obviously with the season that he's having so far, he was gunning for that for sure. I think he's going to be motivated to add another Elite Series win to his list. He also, so far this year, has won every single DGBT Elite event, DGBT Plus event, the 4-round events on the Pro Tour. This is going to be that, and I'm liking Gannon's chance to take it down. Over in FPO, I'm going to go with my girl. No, I'm not. I looked at it for a while, but I'm sorry, Holland. I'm sorry. I have lost trust, which is crazy because she just won 2 tournaments recently, but and she played great at Worlds, but something happened in that final round that just kind of scared me away from picking her for a little bit. So I am going to go in a different direction, and I am going to take I'm just looking at past champions and last year's results. I'm going to take last year's second place finisher in the FPO division. I am going to take Ella Hansen. And those are my picks.
Solid picks. Absolute solid picks.
Yeah, go wrong.
Nope, absolutely can't go wrong with those. So you took Gannon. Hey, you went Chuck. Okay. I'm going to take. Let me see here. How did he do last year? Aitman. He's out injured.
Also, a little side note while you're thinking here, I don't know if this is something that they've been doing for a bunch of tournaments lately, but this extra info in the D-Glow event page on the Disc Golf Pro Tour website, when you go into the tournament preview, the added info that they have now is new to me from the last time I've checked. They've got last year's tournament results right here, 8 years of past winners, which they've done in previous events, but just they've got a lot of more information on this page than I'm used to, and I love it.
That is good to know, and I have looked at absolutely none of it. So we just had a 5-round tournament, a grueling 5-rounder. Now we're going to have 4 rounds of up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down toboggan. Who do I think can go the distance on that? Let's go with the person who almost did it at Worlds. I'll take Nicholas Antala.
Nice.
And over in FPO, let's see here. Over in FPO, how did it turn out last year? Let's see here. Last year, we had Own taking it down with Ella and Kat. I'm going to... that's a tough one. I mean, we just had the CCR Open, which had Owen Scoggins and Kristen Tatar in the field. A friend of the show, Colleen McInnes, came in a solid 9th in that tournament. Shout out to Colleen. And Owen took it down. She beat Kristen.
Pauline's in the field for D-Glow. You want to pick her?
I do not respectfully want to pick her in that full field. I'll pick her as my dark horse that we're not picking. I mean, it's like, how do you can't count Kristen out, but she hasn't had a particularly great run, lately. So I'm not gonna pick her, though she probably will actually win. I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick. I'll take Robbie's pick. I'm gonna take Holland Handley. I think she's got the fire from losing, and falling badly at Worlds. I'll take Holland Handley to take the comebacker and take this down at D-Globe.
Taking her for the same reason I'm avoiding her, but having
100%.
confidence that she'll rebound from Worlds and not let it continue into a streak. I like that.
Yeah. Galen, how about you?
I don't understand you guys, man. I don't know if you just want to keep things interesting or what, but the number of times this season that I have chosen second or third and gotten to pick Kristen Tatar is too damn high. Obviously, I will take Kristen in FPO. She is the best player in this field by a country mile. She might not have the best performance. She just finished third at Worlds after a bit of a lackluster performance. She's had an 8th in a few seconds this season. But I mean, dollar for dollar, foot for foot, disc for disc, she is the best player on the planet in either division. I'll take Kristen Tatar, my third overall FPO pick, easily. On MPO, a couple of people sort of rattling around here. I wasn't sure about maybe Simon. I kind of like the idea of reaching for Isaac, hot off of a great finish, and to go with 2 back-to-back World's champs would be great. I'm going to go with Chris Dickerson. He's had a pretty
great season.
Pretty low-key good season.
Lots of top 10s.
Yeah, I've been really impressed, and him taking third down last season. The runway sort of running out a little bit. I like the idea of him pushing for a win as we get towards the end of our 2024 season. So I'm going to go Chris Dickerson, and I am going to go with Kristen Tatar because I am a sane human being who thinks that the best disc golfer in the world will be the best disc golfer in the world. Call me crazy.
She's not 1,000 rated anymore. She's put a fork in her. She's done. It's over. Her career is just toast. Everybody knows this.
That's totally a hell of a take, Sean, if you want to stand by that, I suppose. As we're working through here, I know, Sean, you talked about maybe doing some picks for the Innova Rip, and I love that idea. So,
I
let's do that.
Just drop this in the show notes. Since we had a really nice long discussion about the Rip, I think it only makes sense that we also do our picks for the event. Let's start with Galen. Galen, who do you like for the Rip? And we have some absolute top tier talent to choose from. Not something you usually see for a Canadian event. This is probably the biggest event that's hit the country in certainly recent memory. I'm curious to see who our picks are going to be. We've got some great choices, including some friends of the show.
One thing we should also do, especially in the MPO side, because the MPO side is loaded with some top tier talent coming up from the States. I think we should also add, who do we think is going to be the top finishing Canadian in the field? As well onto that equation. We might have a Canadian picked in FPO, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes, and maybe we do the same for FPO. But I think definitely in MPO with that loaded field, we should say top Canadian as well.
Yeah, I love that idea for sure. So if you told me at the start of the season I get to pick on the FPO side a 5-time world champ for a tournament winner in Ontario, I'd go, you're crazy. I can't bet against Paige Pierce in FPO. I feel like she is again sort of like Chris, having a sneaky good season. Not always the best finishes, but I think very, very solid. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of our top pros here took it down, but I got to bet on Paige. If I'm picking an Ontario or Canadian choice, I think it'd be cruel of me to abuse having the first overall and Ontario choices for FPO and MPO. So I'm not going to take Chantel. I think Chantel is going to be fantastic at this tournament. She might even take it down. But if I'm going a little bit further down the list of like players that are here and saying I'm not going to abuse and take two of the top three because of the parameters we've set, guys, I like Alicia Humms. She has had a heck of a season. Pushed her rating to north of 900. This is a course that I would expect that she will know and play well. So I'm going to take Paige Pierce as my overall, and Alicia Humms as my Canadian on the FPO side. And on the MPO side, I also am struggling with, both like privilege of going first because it's always happened, and who I sort of have affection for and feel like is going to keep rolling. So I could take Gannon. I could take Isaac or Ezra Robinson. I could take, Gavin Babcock, Drew Gibson. I'm going to go with friend of the pod, Luke Taylor. I really loved Luke's performance.
We all
guys are not down. I really love Luke's performance at Worlds. It was gutsy.
Me too.
Such a high ceiling, some fantastic putts, shredding it off the tee. I don't know, man. I like his chances here. I was just making fun of you two for leaving Kristen to third and leaving Gannon on the board is kind of crazy, and leaving Isaac on the board is kind of crazy. But I got to take Luke Taylor, and if I'm going to add an Ontario or Canadian pick to the mix, got to be Chris O'Zollins. Ontario legend, had some tough recent history and elongated history with injury, but I like his chances here a lot. I think he's going to shred this course, and so I'm going to go with Gannon. I'm looking at the top of the thing and going, yeah, that's what a normal human would take. No, I'm going to go with Luke and Chris on the MPO side. And I believe with our pick order here, we're going to go over to Robbie next. Who do you like, Robbie?
Cool beans. I am utterly devastated to not be able to draft Luke Taylor here. I loved his performance at Worlds. I think he can absolutely shred out here. But I am going to go with in MPO, I am going to go with Ezra Robinson. I'm going to go with the Robinson brother who just watched his brother take down his second world title. And I'm going to go with Ezra, who has had a fantastic season. I mean, as a whole, until Isaac just won Worlds again, Ezra was having the better season for sure. No doubt in terms of like overall finishes and stuff like that. Isaac, of course, had the second place at Idlewild, like right before Worlds, second or third. And then, of course, a great performance at Worlds. But Ezra has been having a great season. So I'm going to go with him. And then for the top Canadian pro, does make sense to go with Chris O'Zollins. I did just run into him last weekend at the Paris Memorial and learned some information that he might be hurting right now. And I'm going to take that information and the fact that Galen has already picked him and I can't pick him. And I am going to pick top finishing Canadian. There are some good names here, and what's crazy is I'm stuck between three like 20-year-olds or younger, which is insane. And I'm gonna go with, oh man,
Tough call.
it really is a tough call. I am gonna go with Jake Voskamp. He is
I like it.
fairly, not totally local, but fairly close to that area. I've seen him playing Hope Goat a lot. I think he'll be able to take that experience with the course and put that into a solid performance. And he, of course, is super talented. When he is on his game, he is one of the best up-and-comers that we've got in Ontario for sure. So I'm banking on that, banking on a good performance from him. And over in FPO, I don't know if this like mitigates my top performing Canadian vote, because I think the top performing Canadian is going to win it, and that is Chantel Badinsky. I think I'm going to take Chantel for the win. Safe bet, of course, is with the 5-time world champion, but I am banking on the pride of Canada to take it down and defend home soil. And if I'm going to give, I guess, just a FPO dark horse Canadian, I'm going to go with friend of the pod, Rebecca Dawn.
Just took her first cash, and she's now officially a pro.
Yep.
Okay, my turn. Over in the MPO side, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to take Isaac, but unfortunately, this isn't a major, and so he's not going to win. I mean, I gotta go obvious. I gotta go Gannon Burr. He's never played the course before, but I don't think that particularly matters all that much.
Shred.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've walked the course. I know some of those lines, and there are some big lines and some really technical things. And I think he's gonna excel at it. Top Canadian, I got to go Cam Zanini, friend of the show. He's been having an absolutely monster year.
Yep.
And I'm shocked that the two of you didn't take him. Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I'm so glad that I was able to grab him as my pick. Over on the FPO side, I'm going to go with the current reigning Canadian national champion, Raven Klein. I think I don't see any reason why she couldn't take this down, like she did at Thunder Bay last year. For a top Canadian, man, Chantel's out, Alicia's out, Becca's out. Man, this is tough.
Basically leaves you with like 3 options.
There aren't many left. I will concede that. Let's go with the pride, or one of the prides of the East End Putting League, Alexandra Paletto. Long arm. I think she's going to do really well at the GOAT. I've played the GOAT with her, and she absolutely smoked me. So I'm gonna take Alex as my Canadian pick.
Heck yeah.
I got to say quickly, I can't disagree with that pick at all. I think she's going to shred, but the fact that we left Kat Johnson on the board is kind of crazy.
We've got such great Canadian,
such insane
FPO
Canadian talent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she just takes it down just to give us all the middle finger. But
yeah, I'm
and I would
I'm
love to
down
see it.
to watch that. Let's go.
And in her victory speech, she says, "This is because Miss Mando didn't pick me in their
F
tournament
those
picks."
guys. What the hell do they know? Yeah.
I want to thank me. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Miss
Take a second
Mando
to
for hating on me.
apologize to absolutely nobody.
Exactly.
Okay.
One last thing before we sign off. We have been to many events, and we appreciate all of our listener. And it is.
I missed that for a second.
Yes, all of our listener has been. We really do appreciate. The support that you've shown this show, and coming up to us at tournaments saying that you listen and that you love the show and what we do, especially our focus on Ontario disc golf. We absolutely love doing it. We've also been asked a number of times for some merch updates. You know, we've got these swanky ass hats and some cool shirts.
Oversized bag patches.
Giantly oversized bag patches, which some of you have wanted. And if you see me at an event, definitely ask, as I probably have the bag of them in my car. You can have one for sure. We've ordered some proper sized merch. We're going to have some proper size bag patches coming in. We're going to have some stickers, and I've ordered like 6 trucker hats with the embroidered Mist Mando logo on them. I don't know what we'll probably sell them for cost or whatever. We'll figure it out. But we'll let you know on a future episode how you can get some Mist Mando swag.
Mist Mango.
Yeah, I do.
That's a show I want to be a part of too.
I
like me a mango.
Yeah. Mango juice is basically what got me through Wild Country last weekend. I was chugging that thing by the liter.
I really just want to have. I never miss a mango on a shirt now.
That's a whole different podcast. But I think that is it for me for this show. Anything else from you guys?
No, nothing more from me here. I see the head shake from Galen letting us know he's all done as well. So that is going to do it for us here at Mist Mando. This has been a fantastic episode. Lots to cover. Thank you so much to Marty Hendel for coming on for an interview. Thank you so much to Darrell Bankus for coming on and joining us for an interview. And like I said at the start of the show, we are going to have a special episode coming out next week to talk about the #1 course in our 2024 Top Ontario Courses vote. Stay tuned for that. And we'll be back the week after with another regular episode. So until then, for Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidoo Harris, I'm Robbie Holden. This has been Mist Mando, and we'll see you on the course.